Welcome back to PUBG Pull-Ups. I'm your host, Matcham, and this week we're going to be pulling up on the Guadalajara Gas Cans and some of their amazing plays from Week 2 of the PCS3 Grand Finals. We'll be breaking down the match-ending standoff between the Guadalajara Gas Can, any trolls in chat, and Sonics. So we are now in a firm position to look at this crosswise, where it is a 1v1v1. Aguila creeping forward, Honey Badger doing the same, but it's going to be Mime on his belly, slow creeping forward on this little bit of a hill. As the blue is closing back behind Aguila, he's going to have to be the first one to move out of this point. Maybe moving into Mime's firing line, but no, he gets spots out, getting this down to a 1v1. Honey Badger spots it out, goes for the shots back over towards him, connects with a lot, and that's going to be Gas Cans with a hefty 18 kills. There is a lot to talk about before we move into the Gas Cans 18 kill victory, where Honey Badger clutches up a 1v1v1. To understand how he got to this position and how the fights broke down the way that they did, we have to take a little bit of a step back. One of the first things that we have to really focus in on is Sonic's positioning. Sonic's made a very aggressive shift back down towards the compound and take control over it, but this is at the beginning of Circle 3. They had the benefit of getting multiple circles in a row. The issue is nobody advanced into their position. The issue then comes into play as we're looking at these later circles. There's not a lot of cover to be had inside of them. You can see the Gas Cans realizes the situation and makes an aggressive push back over towards where the Rumblers are at, getting a foothold by taking out this team. While ATC has been doing a lot of long-range harassment, once they begin to make their way towards the final circles, they realize that they're kind of pincer between two different points. ATC knows that they're going to have to be very careful on how they progress from this point forward. Each team have their own handicaps as they look into the circle. Gas Cans are in the circle, but just barely, and they know that they're probably going to have to move soon. You can notice at this stage, Sonics are no longer using what you would consider to be meta weapons. They've been in location so long, they just had to scavenge anything that they can off the ground. That means that Winnies and Tommy guns are now on the table for these in-game fights. Sonics and ATC combine their firing lines to instantly wipe out the comments, and ATC stretches out along the dip, moving more towards the center after hitting a great nade back over towards Fabled's Greg shot to remove Fabled from the equation as well. Gas Cans, they take a little bit of a different approach. Honey Badger sends it to the shack on a bike, narrowly making it past on near on no life as Sonics harass him on his approach. The rest of Gas Cans staying back, trying to provide a little bit of support and firing lines. It's a very hard play to deal with due to the fact that as long as Honey Badger can keep his cool, he can be a constant harassment point for any of the teams around him while still having support from the players back behind him, taking long-range shots from a safe position. The new circle pops from this point. ATC has the easiest move towards safety. They're down inside that dip and just have to move a little bit further in to get towards a point. The entirety of Sonics now has to move. Back behind them, Gas Cans also no longer have safety to play from. Only Honey Badger, playing next to that shack, is going to be inside the safe zone. Sonics reposition to look back over towards the Gas Can, getting a shots back over towards Boxic and Nikos. ATC assists inside of this from the low ground position. Now Honey Badger is all by himself, and he knows the fact that he has to play from a very controlled point. Sonics begin to make a smoke wall. They do know that ATC is in the dip just on the other side of this, so they begin to stretch out very carefully as they make their approach onto this. Sharpshot gets some shots back over towards H-Win to take him down. Tickleton, then in the thick of the smoke, starts to have to dance around Sharpshot. Gets some shots back over towards Marcelet. You can see Sharpshot very quickly move through the smoke to make an aggressive play back towards the remaining member of the Sonics. But then it turns into sheer chaos for both sides as everybody seems to have a firing line back over towards each other, leaving just Sonic's Mime and ATC's Aguila up. And now we are in that 1v1v1 we were talking about before. With limited resources, Mime had to come into this fight with just a Tommy gun, but a Tommy gun at close range can do a ton of work. He keeps glancing back over towards ATC Aguila's position. Aguila, meanwhile, keeps counter-moving away from Mime over towards Honey Badger, who's hoping to look back over and take a couple of shots towards Mime. We've ended up with a very peculiar loop of death, with each one of these players just kind of running around, creating almost its own form of love triangle. Honey Badger to Mime, Mime to Aguila, Aguila to Honey Badger. Aguila does manage to spot out Mime whenever he does a quick glance back over towards his right, takes him down, turning this into a 1v1. Shots, though, do reveal Aguila's position. Honey Badger steps up on the hillside, a couple of taps very quickly take him down and allow Honey Badger to take the victory for his team. We often see a directed line of defense coming out from teams, but Gas Cans, using Honey Badger to be a very bold aggressor towards enemies around him has shown off time and time again to be successful. Gascans have broken a meta and established their own, and finding that success has been a massive reward for them, moving up to second place inside the leaderboard and trying to contest up against Sonics, who have been holding a very comfortable #1 spot. So now as we move into the last week of finals, we've got Gascans who are on fire, which seems like it would be unhealthy for a Gascan to be, chasing after the Sonics, who have been absolutely dominant. Question remains, who's going to end up on top? For more amazing displays of skill and casting, make sure you tune into the Grand Finals, which are going to be happening on Thursday and Friday of this week. Also, be sure to let us know down in the comments what your favorite play from week #2 was. I will see you on the next episode of PUBG Pull-Ups.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you're watching around the world. Welcome back. It is time for the final weekend of PCS3 North America to kick off. My name's Toffees, and I'll be walking you through the action today, and I'll be joined by some of the best minds that PUBG has to offer shortly. But before we do, let's go over the important things that you have to know. Let's start out with the schedule so you can see what this last week of PUBG goodness is going to taste like. Today is the 19th. For those of you who aren't keeping track, it's 2020. Who cares about dates anyway? We're in North America. We've got another day of play tomorrow, and then APAC in Europe finish out the weekend on Saturday and Sunday with their final weekend of play. So it is about all the PUBG you can handle before a little bit of a break, so get it while you can. On the right side, participating teams, that's the 16 guys who are out here to prove that they've got what it takes to win the big money. Now, in order to do that, they've got to play this thing. And let's look at the format so we can show you exactly what they're going to be dealing with over the next 2 days. 4 games each day for a total of 8. Both days will start out with a double on Miramar, followed by a finale on Erangel. So it will end on the map where it all started. The point system is on the right side. Placement points are pivotal. 10 points for first place, 6 for second, and it goes on down till you get to 9th when you get nothing. And kill points are worth 1. That is relevant because time and time again, success and failure in PUBG, and often the difference between thousands of dollars has been determined by 1 point. So get those kills, get those flushes. Now that prize pool I just mentioned, that's what we're here playing for. Let's take a look at exactly how it's going to break down. $200,000 in that prize pool plus 12.5% of in-game sales. Keep in mind the 12.5% of sales will be distributed equally amongst all of the participants. So if you're out there buying skins and your team maybe isn't living up to the hype, it's okay. You're still supporting them. So go out there and get that support down. Now, if your team is living up to the hype, Sonics, you'll be taking home $50,000. It's $30,000 for second, $24,000 for third, all the way down to 16th place with the consolation prize of 2,000 buckaroos. It's going to be a fun day. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm going to be joined on the desk by 2 of my favorite people. It's going to be Clover and the Cammy D. But guys, before we start talking about yesterday, I have to tell you about something really cool. It's this place, hidden among the clouds, is a mysterious and treacherous plateau of Paramo. Home to untold secrets and a very active volcano, the small-scale map will be a true game changer with dynamic lava flows and locations every time you drop in. PUBG Season 9, available now. #DiscoverParamo. All right, let's get to talking. This is the final weekend. All the chips are down. Everyone's got to make their moves. Let's start off with Clover. Kind of maybe looking back to last weekend or even looking forward to this weekend. What are you getting into?
We have a lot of teams like you just talked about that are really playing for prize pools. They're playing for placements on the leaderboard. I think certain groupings are a little bit locked in, but when we really kind of break down where some of these teams are, there's a lot of room for growth. And we had a lot of teams that have showed some big promise in terms of what they were able to point down in points in a single day and what they were able to accomplish in a weekend. So I think that that's kind of really what the focus is going to be, obviously.
Clover brings up some teams that have lived up to their promise, but Cameron, I feel like some teams have lied to us and just haven't been performing the way that they said or we thought that they would.
I mean, the obvious answer to that is, of course, going to be SDK. Like PCS2, they started off weak and then finally came up strong and they didn't reach the top in the very end. Sonics had that lockdown from the very beginning. This time around, they just haven't showed up, but they're by far not the only team that you could really make that designation for. Veritas haven't really showed up in the way that we expected. ATC and Rumblers, we didn't necessarily expect them to be top 3, top 5, 100%, but even them, we would like to see better. But besides all of that, this week right now is all about Sonics and the gas cans. Sonics we knew could be this good. Gas cans, I don't think anyone expected to have this level of performance from them. They had an amazing week number 2, and there is still a 25-point gap between them and the Sonics, but it was a lot wider last week. I was talking last week about how it was basically locked in. Unless Oath had an amazing week 2 and 3, it was by far going to be Sonics' event already from the get-go, but there was a real chance right now that the gas cans overtake the Sonics in these 2 last remaining days.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the gas cans were firing on all cylinders. That is for sure. That said, you've mentioned some teams, guys. Let's take a look at the teams a little more specifically in the team breakdown. Clover, why don't you kick us off on the first 4?
I mean, look at this. You've got teams at or near the top of the leaderboard, Sonics and Oath in first and third, respectively. And Zenith had a fairly decent week. They've kind of done some good growth for themselves, though. Last Thursday, excuse me. Wow, what even are days? And Friday, their points difference were huge. So some of these teams need to really look going into this weekend, having no more bad days if they want to climb. And that includes shoot to kill, because they've been averaging 23 points a day, and that's just not what we expect from them.
Cameron, take us through the next 4.
So the next set is Dodge, Houston Hardships, Veritas, and Duel. All 4 of teams that have had shining moments in group stage, if not this grand final. But outside of Duel and Dodge, Hardships and Veritas are sort of in the middle of the pack. And I think for both of those squads, you can argue that they haven't really lived up to expectations. But Duel and Dodge coming out as, compared to those 2, you could argue newer teams. They've been through a little bit of roster shuffle, some more than others, throughout the course of this year. I think it's fair to say that they've both landed on something that is a lot better. These are 2 teams that are going to be fighting for the 3rd through 5th position in this competition.
All right, let's take a look at the next 4. Pull them up, and Clover talking about these folks.
Illusion, Comets, Guadalajara Gas Cans, and any Trolls in Chat. You've got 3 teams that have kind of been struggling on the right-hand side of the leaderboard, 2 of which have kind of touched that 16th place time and time again. Now, we've had some growth. Some of these teams are doing a little bit better, climbing themselves to the middle. But, I mean, like Cameron said, Guadalajara Gas Cans are just insane right now, and they have grown day after day, increasing not only the points that they've been able to put down, but I think just their dominance over this lobby. So I'm really hopeful to see Guadalajara Gas Cans put down an insane amount of points again today.
And Cameron, the final 4, which is really the final 4.
More, not exactly. The Rumblers, it should be noted, they ended group stage in 13th place and now sitting in 8th place. That's definitely a big come up for them, but I do still think that it is fair to give criticism towards them considering who they have on the roster: McCoy, Los DG, and Waldo, as well as Gaxi coming over, as well as Los from Europe. But the other 3, yeah, there's really not much more that you honestly would want to expect out of these 3. All 3 teams have at least had 1 good game in the grand final, but have yet to really show that they can properly compete with the top dogs of North America.
And that's, I think, what it really comes down to. It's time to make the statement about who are the top dogs in North America. And prior to this, guys, it felt like it was kind of established. We know that this STK was unbreakable. I think, Cameron, you even picked STK to win this entire thing on day 1 of the championship. And I think anybody sitting here, including the people voting in the pick'ems, would have agreed with you. I'm at a total loss for what's going on.
It's really hard to say. Sometimes you just don't have your A game happening, and then when you're SDK and you have so if you want to compare it to PCS2, they were off of their game on the very first week and then had really good comeback attempts on week 2 and 3. That hasn't happened in week 2 here, and I think at this point it's fair to say that they have no chance of winning this entire competition. They want to try and get as high as they can, but they maybe won't. I don't want to guess here, but it's possible that they won't have the exact same energy and the exact same hype to compete if it's like, oh, well, we can maybe get 5th rather than we got to compete for first place. For them, though, I think it's ultimately their strategy. You can tell that their style is affected by the stronger the teams are in here. They don't feed off of the lower teams, the teams that ended up in the Challenger Cup per se. But you can tell that their style of like branching out, spreading out, trying to take ground does get punished a lot more now that there are more teams able to punish them.
On the opposite side of that, I think it's important that we take a look back at sort of how the teams played. We saw SDK struggle a little bit over the last weekend, and we saw some teams like Guadalajara step up and go all out. So let's take a look back at exactly how those games went last weekend.
No! Poonage is going to get the knock on the Icy Flex and show.
He's going to find a way. I told you he's going to find a way. Ayla was insane.
Looking back over, see if he can get a second one. And there we go. That's Shinboy showing up for him.
They're going to have a little bit of terrain to work with there, that little hill. Actually, he's going to find one. Can he find two? He does! Illusion in a very interesting fight here. Oh! What a grenade from Freebie, please. That was from inside.
Xena finding himself pinched, and it's a good thrown grenade. Oh, there you go, Danny G taking out Kickstart, taking out Poonage. Now we've got so many other eyes on this angle.
Well, it's also
nice
stopping
flash
Pat.
there onto Pat Caps. Yeah.
He can't get out of it either. The mic is actually completely blocking him, and that's going to give... Oh, my goodness!
Oh. Luke was a little bit confident. He said that bike was going to prevent Pat from coming in, but he managed to jump over it, gets the knock and flush onto
Pat,
Luke.
please.
But Kurt right now working on the res there for Civ.
Meanwhile, Gas Can's trying to recover here. Gonna fight with comments, and what is this?
Oh. The dip
Erased.
definitely was.
Absolutely erased. Zenith doesn't even have the circle. It's the Rumblers. Oh!
Ooh.
That's a huge knock.
They're executing some damage here into shoot to kills. Mimes looking to find a knock.
Oh.
Who's going to get it there? Halo falls, not wasting any time to pick up the flush to get back to his zone safely. So you see he takes a hit there from Mime, and a second one's going to knock him down. The flush comes out immediately. Circle, this is a rough one for Oath.
Oh! Volley exploded in his hand, or as it left. That was crazy.
Winlow taking some free fire
No.
shots.
No,
Look
Tig.
at this angle he's got here.
You can't!
Tingleton does it. 13 kills.
SDK is ready to take this foot push. Again, you rotate onto military without a vehicle to actually, and Wimu's got a fantastic off angle. Kurt's going to fall.
High ground Oath can harass a little bit depending on this path thing. They're heading back up this hillside and they're just trying to get away from this one, but that is such a beautiful angle coming up from Snakers.
To pushing up actually, so it's Heyday. He's coming a bit closer now. He's going to find the headshot onto Aguila now. Norkis not going to repeat that, but Alibad is doing a really good job from this position here.
What is he doing to ATC right now? Finally, Sharp Shot connects.
Here you go. God. It's going to come straight towards him. Norkis, actually, okay, Kurt, thank you. I was going to say, you got to land one of those shots, dude.
Trying to see if maybe he can get one more kill on top of this one. Goes around, tries to peek back around on the angle, is at least going to get that one more out of it.
Got a lot of ground to cover to get into the next one.
Yeah, Duel's trying to get some damage control, but Gas Cans are going to just be like, nah, good connection on that grenade. Gonna go ahead and send. I just love watching bodies roll down the hillside. I don't know why. It just makes me happy. Not got a lot of options for himself. Peeks back around. Has to be careful. Fable goes ahead and connects on the side of it, but Finn is gonna go ahead and eat that one up. See, the smoke's now starting to come out. Mime has to read what's going on. Marsluck actually does hit the shot back over towards him. It's a quick pickup coming up from Tig as well. Gonna go ahead and use what remaining ammo they have to see if they can at least decimate the gas cans. Getting this down to a 1v1. Honey Badger spots it out, goes for the shots back over towards him, connects with a lot, but not quite enough. Finally does manage to get it, and that's going to be Gas Cans with a hefty 18 kills. Hello everyone, I'm Matrim, and I'm here to talk to you about a tough subject. The world is a scary place right now, and there's conflict all over. Yes, we have Tiggletons, and we have teams like Shoot to Kill to help keep the order, but one group is often left behind, and that's the average low-ranked player. For only a few deep, calming breaths per day, you could save the life of a scrub. Every day these players are eliminated trying to hot drop when they don't know how to quickly. But with your help and your guidance, there may be hope for them yet. So please, donate your sanity and help an average player today. I don't understand. Thankfully, you don't even have to down sights. You pull the trigger!
Check out PUBG Esports on TikTok at pubg.esports.official. Make sure you guys tag hashtag esports for all and PCS3 North America on your PUBG TikTok content, and you could get featured on our next broadcast. Let's do that, okay? I want to see what you guys have to offer. Let's get after it. All right. That said, we've talked about play. We've talked about expectations. Let's look at the real numbers, how the teams have done so far and where they need to prepare as they go into the games today. Clover, it's the overall leaderboards.
You know what? Sonic's in first, and they had a very hefty lead, but last week, Guadalajara Gas Cans did quite well for themselves, and we see they've been able to close the gap. Now, that gap is still 25 points, and even at Sonic's worst day, they're still averaging in the 40s. And so Guadalajara Gas Cans, if they have any chance to go after Sonics, need to have their best day, and Sonics need to have their worst. That said, Oath, I think, is pretty much locked in here at third place, but you've got to run here between 4th and 8th. This is close enough that if any one of these teams have a fantastic day and any of the rest of them have a bad one, you could see a really big shakeup here, and that is quite a big difference when it comes to prize money. So I think we're going to see quite a lot of action between these teams over here on the left-hand side. As for the right, I mean, kind of, again, right, just a big mix-up. I think there's a lot of potential for some of these teams to make moves here.
Yeah, I mean, not much more to be said about the right side. You can look at Veritas, you can look at Indie Trolls in chat specifically, of having chances of trying to break onto the left side of the leaderboard, get into the top 8. But I agree, Clover, it really is going to be about who's going to get first between Sonics and Gas Cans. Can Oath stay in third? It is really likely, but it will have to be a big collapse by either Gas Cans or Sonics, or a big come up by like Duel, Dodge, etc. to overtake that. I think we are gonna see a fight between 4th through 8th on who's gonna be highest out of those 8. Those are sort of the pockets that we're looking at in these final 2 days.
Nice. All right, well, let's talk about some specifics. We like to go over the standouts, underdogs, and surprises of each day, each weekend. We'll start with the standout. My standout team after last weekend, particularly our last day of play on Friday, is the Guadalajara Gas Cans. These guys have been nothing but improving. Honey Badger is playing out of his mind to the point where I think there's been discussion of who has the long-term potential, Honey Badger or Tiggleton, to go the distance. That said, they played 4 games, and in 3 of those, they got double-digit kills. And the one game where they're out in 10th, they still got 6 kills. They make it happen, and I think they're going to keep doing that. Clover, let's go over to you, and you can tell me a little bit more about your underdog.
Yeah, my underdog here is going to be Illusion. And now, one of the things about Illusion, they're in 11th place. Everything that they're at is 11th place, but I think that we saw a lot of potential from them last week to make growth. I'm not saying they're going to make a run for the top 5, but I think that they've got a really good chance at making a play, potentially even for 8th or 9th place, and that's a really big payout difference for them as well. Obviously, Woe has kind of taken over for Free Me Please, and unfortunately hasn't been able to continue on with the team, so there's going to be a big question mark here, but I think there's some good potential for this team to do something today.
And finally, the surprise, Cameron.
Surprise team has got to be Dodge. Coming into this event, even though they did end the group stage in 5th place, there were a lot of question marks of like, oh, were they just circle fed? Were they only in that position because they got lucky shifts in their favor? And while they do still make the best work of shifts in your favor, haha, everyone does, but especially for Dodge, they've also been able to up the amount of points they get on like the mediocre games or the suboptimal games. And especially even with Lampalot not performing to his carry star potential like he did during group stage, Adam and Danny G both have really picked up the point gain in week number 2. And I was definitely, go back and watch the VODs on week 1 especially, I was definitely saying Dodge, I'm not convinced yet. At this point, I think I'm really close to, if not already convinced, that they are a consistent top team.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I think that they have a unique style of play when you compare them to like the Sonics and the Gas Cans in terms of like cerebral versus smash mouth PUBG. And I think if we get a chance, we'll talk about that a little more today. But before we start the game, I know that the players are about to load into the planes. I want to get through my favorite part, which is predictions. I want to know who you guys think is going to win this whole thing. We always start with me, and you know my policy of not changing my prediction once the tournament starts. So I will stand by that and say Oath is going to win, though I also want to say that they have cut me deep over the last couple of days, and I'm really hoping that turns around for the Oath boys because they have the potential. I just don't know where it is right now. Clover, your prediction.
You know what? It's Sonics. I had them last week. I'm having them again this week for my pick. I just think that they look fantastic right now. Even on their worst day where they've had a 0-point game, they still put down 49 points that day. So I still think there's so much potential for this roster. I don't see them really losing that momentum today. So going for the Sonics.
How could you not? Cameron, your pick?
Yeah, it's the Sonics. It's a 25-point lead. They did finally break their streak of having only one day outside of the top three. One game outside of the top three every single day. They had a 5th and an 8th on the last day that we played. But if that's their worst day, then listen, I do want to see the Gas Cans continue to push it, to continue to have amazing games. But with the lead that they have, the performance level that they're on, it's going to be a very, very hard climb if Sonics are to not end in first place.
To kill a Juggernaut, you have to find the hole in their armor, and it's starting to become difficult to see that hole. I don't know if they hit that, if Gas Cans is able to get that slingshot shot perfectly timed or not, but it'll be fun to see. I do want to say this, though. Sonics and Clover. Clover picked them to win this entire thing off the jump. The rest of us changed a little bit. So I'm going to give her some props for being with Sonics the entire time and them stepping up and living the good life. So good job there. Guys,
well,
the game's
that's
about
not
to
exactly
start.
true. I did pick Veritas my very first day. So I'm not all knowing. I'm not all knowing, but
I like that too.
Honorable,
It wasn't entirely the truth. Picked Veritas. Anyway. Good stuff there. Guys, the game's about to kick off. Final thoughts before we jump into it. What do you want to see? Who are you excited about maybe catching us off guard today? We'll start out with you, Cameron.
The one weakness for Sonics is that they get the majority of their points on Miramar. And we're starting off with Miramar today. So I think these first 2 games are going to be incredibly paramount to see if the Gas Cans do have enough gas in the tank. I took that one from you, I think. I don't know. If they either first 2 games, if we could see if it is going to be in the cards, if it is going to be possible for them to overcome that gap.
Clover?
You know, I want to see Shoot to Kill break 30 points today. I think it's possible, and I'd really like to see them make a jump on the leaderboard.
You know, and I think that is something to consider. Is STK is one of those teams that at this point they can't win. I just don't think it's in the cards. I know it's not in the cards, but they want to make a statement, right? We don't know what's next. You got to make a statement. You got to prove that you're the best. 7th isn't going to cut the muster. But here are 2 guys who will cut the muster every time. The 2 most en vogue casters PUBG has to offer. It is Porosaurus and Hypoc with the call.
He's not.
Am I good? Hello, can you hear me? Over.
Sure. Maybe.
All right, we're good now. In vogue
Flawless.
casters, but clearly not technologically prowessed. But you know what?
Hey, speak for yourself.
It doesn't matter.
You've decided, have you? You've decided it doesn't matter.
I've decided. That's what I've decided.
Okay.
I'll tell you what the problem. Like, if you want to get really in depth into technical issues,
Not
I'm trying
really.
to mute.
No.
I'm trying to mute my game, and it keeps muting my Skype. I don't know why. But anyway, we are here on this first circle of the first game of the first day. I am Porosaurus. He is Hypoc, and man, we are ready to go. There's so many questions to ask, and a lot of them were breached right there on the analyst desk, right off the jump. Can Sonics keep holding out? Can Gas Cans try to make a come from behind victory? Can STK try to find some semblance of their old form before the end of this tournament? There's so many things that we still have left to answer, Hypoc.
Yeah, I mean, there's still room for. I know the guys obviously they talked heavily about kind of the top 4 and everything, but there's still a lot to play for. I mean, in terms of the top 8, I mean, even down to like 10th, you could say ATC. There's a lot of room for movement. 8 games left to play. That's a lot of games, and we're at the point now where some teams can still make a dash for it. Some of these differences in pricing is huge, right? Just like 2 spots. So
absolutely,
there's still a lot to look out for this. I keep saying weekend. Every time we do a Thursday and Friday cast, I always say weekend, but I'm going to leave it as is.
Yeah. I mean, it's
kind of
it's our weekend. Yeah. I mean, look, hey, it feels like a weekend, right? I mean, we're already drinking.
I mean, 2020 feels like a weekend. The whole year.
The whole time, indeed. Well,
weekend.
Let's see where the first circle goes. Okay. Good start. I mean, depending on who you want. Well, look, hey, if you're looking at the first circle and you're saying, okay, there's been a lot of talk, Sonic's getting circles, yada yada yada, whatever. First circle, sure, they're in Picata, they're going to get this most of the time, right? That's not a big deal. Everybody kind of knows that. But when it starts getting interesting is when you start getting those third circle, fourth circle, even fifth and sixth. That's where Sonics has been having a lot of luck. When it comes to like being inside, having 4 up, first of all, and finding themselves inside compounds, inside the circle on pop. So do you think that this is a matter of Sonic luck, or is this a matter of just H-win?
Dude, you know what? I was literally having this conversation with Kurt earlier. We were back and forth talking about some of the teams in NA and how well equipped they are for the international meta and whatnot, and what play style kind of plays towards that. And I mean, Sonic says that, I mean, it really was. But we also did kind of touch on Sonics and circle luck, but you got to take into account these guys religiously move at 3 minutes 30 no matter where the circle is. They're literally they manage to out rotate some teams that are dead center of circle 1, and then the thing is that the way that they play and these ambitious, you could say, splits early game that they can maintain through to circle 3, and it comes circle 4. If you're in a position to center up on a prime compound, I'm not even talking dead center, I'm talking about top of a hill, something like that, where they're able to then even sweep an edge if they have to once circle 5 comes. They're always equipping themselves. They're literally minimizing that RNG factor, and that's something we don't see a lot of. It sounds very simple when you say it like that, right?
No,
if a team can consistently do that, that's we're kind of seeing what that looks like in terms of the leaderboard, to be honest with you, because they're always so well positioned coming from mid to late game. And one of the things I know you were looking heavily into this is how often they're keeping 4 up into kind of circle 5, circle 6. Their ratio for having 4 people alive in like circle 6 and still being in the circle is actually crazy.
It's insane. And to kind of further on to that point, when you look at, even something as simple as a stat of when teams get the most of their kills, right? Like how many kills do they get
when they become active?
Circle? Exactly. You look at Sonics and their curve peaks in circle 6. Yeah. And they are the latest team to peak by far. I mean,
first team to rotate, but you could argue one of the latest teams to kind of actually become active in terms of points, not just placement. Right. They're one of the latest teams to become active.
Right, and that's not to say that they don't do anything prior to circle 6, right? They're doing their usual thing, and when you have as many kills as they have, I mean, obviously it kind of gets spread out a little bit. But when you compare that to, say, Gas Cans, who's kind of like up there in that same area,
opposite.
Exactly, Gas Cans is peaking in circle like 3 and 4. Right, and that's just kind of the result of that style the Gas Cans has been playing, right, where they work the edges and they kind of stay alive, and I don't think they keep 4 up hardly ever. And look at this, Tig already going to find Keenan in rotation here as Veritas getting a little bit too close to the sun here, and they're going to find themselves. Are they stuck, or are they just looking? Yeah, I think they're just going for this res. It should be a fairly easy res. I guess Tig must have just popped him out of the vehicle on rotation.
Well, yeah, I mean, whilst we were talking there, we did see him kind of crossing paths almost, just coming out kind of southwest of Picardo. But you do make an interesting point. And again, me and Matt were touching on this last week, which is Sonics is a team I always say that, once they get to that mid to late game transition, they're okay losing one. They'll make a push, and because I mean Sonic, so they've been bullying teams in terms of taking compounds, taking terrain. And the thing is, they don't kind of let their foot off the pedal if they lose one. They maintain that, right? We're 3 up now. We're still going to take team fights. We're still going to remain active. Gascans, much the same, really. They're taking these early game fights. They're looking to pressure early, and it doesn't change the pace. It doesn't change the tempo at all for that team. They managed to maintain that same kind of trajectory with 3 players consistently. And I said it last week again. It's great to see a team say we are fundamentally going to do something different this phase, then see them put into practice, and then see it actually be successful for them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was definitely looking at Gascans even back when they were 303, because you could see that there were sparks, right, from this Honey Badger Voxic. Exactly.
The splitting early game, yeah.
The Korean style that they've very vocally said that they're trying to kind of adopt, right? This very widespread, high information gathering, ADR farming early on, and just kind of playing that edge. But I got to be honest with you, man. I did not think it was going to pop off this quickly.
No. It's
like I thought it was going to take at least another phase.
Yeah, but that's good though, and again, that's huge confidence building for them, because you can tell that the first few times it worked out for them, the very next game bounced back. They're doing exactly the same thing, and there was maybe a few cold feet earlier on in the phase, but definitely last week. I mean, those milli-circles last week where they were like pushing to new compound over on the west side, literally before Circle 1 had popped, like they're down out the plane taking vehicles over there, like just crazy.
And see Sonic's doing a little bit of repositioning, just kind of grouping back up in the northern parts of Chuma here, just off to the west of Rumblers. Very much aware of their neighbors. It's not a surprise to anyone to find Waldo and Los in that church.
I mean, I will say it's becoming more and more surprising, actually. And again, you could say we're coming into the final week here, maybe a little bit of a caution exercised by some of these teams, but on some of these weird circles, and we've seen so many of them through PCS. I mean, obviously not my fault. I thought actually Zenith translating actually to take a little bit of down. No, it's only I couldn't see the second health bar in there, but I guess the scout is out. He's actually turned around. I'm not sure why Poonage is pulling back on this, because Later's on the south side of the road. Yaxi's on the north here.
I think there might have been a very good chance that Poonage might have spotted out. Zenith was waiting for him right down the road. He might have seen the vehicles or gunshots or something, but in the end, they end up losing kickstart for their troubles. And that is a big gun down early for the Zenith boys. But the fact that they are able to... he lost the tire. What a shot from Yaxley. And Yaxley keeping it going, keeping the pressure on. Poonage should be able to get out of this. Looks like he'll get out of that fairly easy. And look at this. Gas cans in a kill feed. Honey Badger.
Early game in the kill feed. Who'd have thought?
Ready.
Oh, my God.
Rosa in hand, and he's going to find a third. Is that the third, or is that yeah, that's a third knock. He gets a 1v3 right off the bat from Honey Badger, just in wide open terrain. And this is what the gas cans do. They work the edge. They find these fights. They don't always 1v3, but that is what Honey Badger has been bringing to the table to this Grand Finals.
But I love this as well. And again, you could say that this is now one player. It's a 2v1 for whoever a 3v1 actually now. All 3 of them are here. But as soon as that information is relayed, you see them pushing down in their vehicles, coming down to crash the compound, coming to clean this fight up quickly so they can move on to the next one.
Exactly. Gas cans very, very quick to pull the trigger now. That is a good thing, good news for them, because you can see just off in the distance, off to the east, STK making their rotation past here. They might hear these gunshots and see if they can maybe get involved from the high ground. Aguila being a thorn in the side here, not wanting to go down easily. Gas cans are going to have to kind of pull the brakes here just a little bit. Aguila going to try to get in the buggy and see if he can get out of this. Is Oldest going to let him? No. Valiant attempt. A good effort. But in the end, it is all for naught as ATC goes down in 16th place.
Actually, some utility coming in here on this is over on the other side of Chuma, actually over on the far east side, up on the high ground. And Sonics have lost one initially. Tiggleton is down right now. Veritas doing a little bit of damage, and they do have the benefit of having control of it. Actually, Shrim's going to get tagged up. He's going to have to drop onto the rocks here. Might be able to reset and get this res on Tig, but With 3-man and Veritas, they're going to have fantastic opportunities to peek down on top of this, Boro.
Veritas knows how to work these ridge lines. They know this area very, very well. The smoke cloud is down. They've got a little bit of cover. Going to try to go for the res onto Tig right now. Looks like they should be able to get it right now. Scrimsy going to re-up on the smokes just to be safe. It looks like Tig will get revived. We may have lost Mime in the process, but Sonics will still be in this. As Veritas still wrapping around. This feels like a really bad fight for Sonics to be taking here. And now Jazz and D-Treats are coming from the angle. They're coming from the flank. And this could be bad news for Sonics.
You know, things slowed down a little bit, but I mean, lots of utility invested there to try and get out the flushes. And again, you can't really fault that. They did have him kind of pinned against the pipe there. Actually, Tiggleton going to take a lot of damage as he tries to get away. It's driving away in plain sight. I'm not sure why he didn't follow the same path as his teammates, but looks like he might get away with it. Nope. Jazza just as he pulls into the school there. So hoping that's not going to be okay.
Oh no, yeah. I mean, you mentioned kind of why didn't he follow the same path? I mean, his teammates weren't even able to give him any real good covering fire. They couldn't get the angles from where they were shooting, so Veritas just basically had free reign on doing whatever they wanted to do Tig there. And so the Sonics losing too early. That is big news for everybody in this lobby that's on the chase. As we take a look around and see where everybody is, everybody's settling up, waiting for this second circle to pop. Dodge boys. Very comfy right now. They do have hard shifts just off to their north. T8 just off to their east. New circle pops, and okay. We're going to get another weird one, IPOC. This one's going to cut south, and we are getting a large amount of water in this. A very small amount of what we would assume would be the playable mainland here. T8 looking beautiful. Dodge looking good as well. We'll just have to see if they're going to end up having to defend themselves as all these teams from the north are starting to make their way down.
Well, this is the thing. I mean, it's already congested on the north side outside of the new zone, but everybody knows this next one's got to cut the water out. So going to expect a lot of pressure coming towards the hard shifts. Zenith as well, you know, T8 and Dodge. I don't think many teams are going to traverse past that. Most teams should opt to play, obviously, onto the northeast edge here. So eyes towards Oath, Rumblers, Comets. They could be a factor in this as well. Jump aboard Zenith, actually. Just Roth and Shimboy left, and they're actually encroaching on the backside of Oath's position. I'm not sure they're fully aware. Snake has actually put down a smoke, so maybe some awareness that there could be a push coming in from the other side. But Rumbler's hassling in here. Bale actually going to find Gaxi with a nade. That's a good arm, actually, from Bale. Gaxi going to pull way out in the open. The rest of Rumbler's kind of scattered back towards Microfy's old compound.
Gaxi's just been having a very, very forgettable grand finals for him in particular. You know, we know Gaxi to be a very, very talented player, but it has just not been going his way and not really been going the Rumblers' way during this finals here. As we check back with gas cans under some fire here. Voxic, okay. Make sure you cut that wheel hard enough, and looks like you're going to be leaving him for dead. And yep, Rip going to get the honors there as gas cans repositions for a little compound here on the edge. Fabled still running around, seeing what they can spot out here, and a number of fights now breaking out all across, as you said, the northeast and the north, and now even the northwest is getting a little bit crazy here as our Sonics boys are coming down across.
Yeah, just spotted them coming in onto the north side of Valdemar. Fabled kind of set up the line of defense just on the outside, but we did just spot out Kurtfall on SDK, and they were fairly split just before this circle started closing in. They have regrouped now a little bit. Halo and Uncivil kind of finding some space to play on the high ground here. Again, don't know how hard this one is going to shrink to the north. We know that it has to cut the water out, but potentially this next shift could bring SDK into a troublesome area, to say the least. Because, I mean, you know, Oath over to the east of them, hard shifts occupying the compound. If it's not all the way to the tip of this old circle, then they're going to have to push one way or the other.
That's the problem, isn't it? Hard shifts, king of the castle right now, and they are looking off to the north to see what they can spot. Meanwhile, on the south here, Veritas going to be engaged and taken down. Fabled is also pinched between Veritas and Sonics here, as I believe another one of Veritas is going to go down to a vehicle from their own teammate. Hate to see that right in the middle of a firefight. You don't want it. The new circle has popped, and it is going to cut just a little bit off to that east. So STK will have to be on the move, but so will Hardshifts, so will Oath, so it might open up a spot. But this whole cluster off to the northwest is going to have to get settled here very soon. It looks like Veritas is going to use this opportunity just to hop in vehicles and get on out of there. That might be the best play.
Yeah, I mean, good timing from them. There's nobody really holding the road there. Now they can get ahead, get set up if they want to try and camp out this rotation. Again, everything kind of east of them from here. You can see what the terrain looks like, perfect for a two-seater. But if Fable and Sonics leave this too long, I mean, there's going to be a team waiting to gatekeep them. Maybe H1 and Shrimsy just trying to look for some points to put on the board before they fall. Again, damage control. You can see Rip's going to fall in the kill feed there, so H1 finding one knock at least. Veritas has said it's straight in, actually. They found quite a lot of space, but jumping back on board here, and Haxeti stuck behind the shack. The first molly's going to land. Actually, the second does as well. It's ticking a lot of damage onto him. I'm not sure if he's actually going to fall from that one. He's down to about about 5 HP.
Yeah, Rip will get flushed out as well, so that'll be a third point in Sonics' bag here. He'll come up out of the top, and he's waiting for him.
From the top rope.
H-Win just dropping.
Oh my God.
What a cleanup. Sonics, even with 2, as dangerous as ever, as they clean up Fabled, but now they have their work cut out for them. They've got to get inside this circle, and that thing is doing a little bit more than tickle here. As we check in now with Shoot to Kill. They sent it in vehicles, tried to get a little bit closer in, but now they are completely descended upon here by Hardshifts. Oath, meanwhile, not as much of an issue. It's really just the Hardshifts right now. So STK could kind of turn their attention over here, and we'll see what happens.
Well, those flashes are actually perfect from Halo. If he comes over and peeks on the top side here, you find Lobes prone down. He is actually going to get that one for free. It's the flush as well. Snake is actually finding Maluk elsewhere. So STK and Oath combining to do a lot of damage to Hardshifts right now. It just leaves J-Sank up, I'm pretty sure. That's where gas cans do actually find Sonics as they're coming in on this edge as well. Poro, Shrimsy, last man standing here again, though. It's not good for gas cans. They're way out in the open on the side of this hill. At least Shrimsy and H1. Oh my God, Shrimsy going to find Oldless. That's just Nico's left now.
And that blue is ticking. You can see Nico's already very low. He can't really afford to just sit here and peek the guy in the gas. And Shrimsy's going to find him. And that's another 3 points picked up by Sonics. They're up to 8 kills off of the play there of Shrimsy, and he should be able to get back in the vehicle and get inside and snake out some more here as Sonics.
I mean, he's got space. I'm
telling you, when things are looking terrible for this team, they still find some way to manage to collect points, and it's just absolutely insane. STK, meanwhile, looks like they have managed to get rid of Hardshifts, but now Uncivil is low. Alo has wrapped north to deal with T8, and Oath is peeking up over the top to see what he can find.
You do actually see now Alo actually getting the open onto Wimu here. Patcap's going to flush out Uncivil with the nade. Now, STK got to be careful, down to 2, and it's rinse and repeat, really. They're just pinched again between two different teams this time around.
Exactly. At least they've got 4 kills already in the bag, and that's going to do it for Alo. Luke 12 now, the last one alive. I feel like we say that quite a bit here recently for STK. Luke managing to be the last surviving member. He is going to get spotted out. He will drop down and break line of sight, be able to get that heal off, but Oath still in the process of just clean sweeping this northern side. Now T8, meanwhile, managed to get the res onto Lush, but will lose Steezy as they are now going to have to figure out how to deal with this Oath issue. Is Luke okay? Snakers takes care of that problem, and STK out in 11th place.
This is good, really. I mean, you could say Oath racking up the kills already. I know you're saying they're as good as locked in, but gas cans and Sonics going out this early on leaves a lot of space for Oath to close this gap. Again, 8 games, a lot left to play, but starting strong in game 1 of day 1 of the last 2 days, you could say. This is a really, really good opportunity for Oath here.
Absolutely. And if you are an Oath fan, it's got to do you a little bit of good knowing that this is not an Oath circle by any means, and they're finding some pretty good success in it right now as we check in with Veritas just to the south of Dodge. But you can see what the terrain they're really working with here. It's going to be Kind of a difficult battle here. I might trade a few shots back and forth, but who knows what they're finding. Actually, Lampalot going to find Weem from way downtown. Is Dodge doing their best Oath impersonation here as one of these four-man squads just working the edge and trying to clean up around them.
Again, Dodge have put that open space to good use as well, getting control of the high ground. Veritas, we know they made a mad dash for it from the edge of Valdemar, so have to wait and see if Dodge, show their hand at this point. They haven't really got involved in any team fights per se, just kind of in pressuring. I know they did clean up Shrimsy in rotation on the way in. It was tanking a little bit of blue, but Oath now, I think they've identified they got a little bit of space to their south. Don't really want to mess with T8 over to the west anymore. You see it was, I think it was Bale and Snakers, both very conscious of clearing that northeast edge of the circle. So I guess once this closes, they're going to make a decision on pushing south.
Very effective area control there by Oath, not overextending, just taking what they get for relatively low risk here. As we see Illusion, well, that is just a difficult fight, isn't it? Right underneath one eye, but no lines of sight to be had there. You see Top Dog, Woe, and Show still all up. Woe a little bit farther away than the rest of the gang here, but just kind of staring off to the north. It looks like Illusion more in safety mode here than anything.
Well, I know looking at the map, it looks like Show just got an audio cue off of Patron. Actually, Show going to take a lot of damage there. So the peak comes over the top. He does get one knock, but Patron will trade it out. I swear, just hopping on board with Dodge at the top hill. Back to Woe now. Woe was the one that was out on the extremity, far back against the edge of the circle. And again, he's kind of worked himself out of this fight, to be honest. It's actually Jazza from the north coming down to pressure that as well. Tags Woe down to about 50 HP, and one eye open. I'm pretty sure they know where he is, so pretty much a matter of time there. There you go. It's actually going to be Michael that finds him with the mini headshot.
That might have been the problem there all along for Illusion, is there was no real way to engage on one eye open safely without having to worry about getting shot at from the north side by Veritas with the high ground. So they end up having to be pulled into the fight anyway, and it ends up working out probably how they were fearing it would. Meanwhile,
This is
one
interesting.
eye getting pushed here by Dual Cherry. Going to come down the hill and get immediately lit up. But Patron will go down to Jazza, as Jazza will save the life of Cherry for the time being. Delta gets traded down by Lynxy. We got one left up for one eye open. It's going to be Winlow. He's going to try to see if he can get the flush. He will, and he'll also get the down onto Penta. Now Lynxy, the last one up, as Winlow trying to keep things alive for one eye open here. Lynxy has to be concerned about the push coming out here before trying to go for this res.
Yeah, an unfortunate sequence of events there. Duel actually here in the fight between Illusion and One Eye Open. They came over to third party this, and Cherry just getting caught with his hand in the cookie jar in the open on the side of that hill here. Actually, the res comes off from Duel, and Winlow just charging towards the smokes on the side of the hill. Delta's still bleeding out right now. But meanwhile, you can see on the minimap, Veritas have actually come down to the compound as well. So they're perfectly aware that this is weakened teams everywhere over on the south side of the circle. Winlow goes for the big Penta, actually shutting that down with the barrel. So Patron, the last man standing once again.
Penta not wasting any time on that one. Patron will find Lynxy, though. The flash will come up, and Penta will finish him off, and that'll do it for One Eye Open. Will that do it for Duel as well, as Veritas is now running through the compound? They know something's going on. Yes, Jazza will spot him out before he can even get the res started, and that is it for Duel. An 8th place finish for them with a couple of kills for themselves. Not too bad, but Veritas right now on the hunt, man. They've got 4 kills. They have the south side to themselves, still 3 up. We'll see what they can do with it.
Yeah, actually, Oath now looking to sweep along the east side. We know that they're off in the northern side of a previous circle. And Comet's getting absolutely picked apart by them, to be honest. I did see Monty trading back and forth onto 1 or 2 of the players from Oath as we were watching that fight with Illusion, but Vegas has managed to slip away, and he's actually looking like he might run into Lost HD, who's been in snake mode for the last few circles. Vegas actually going to win that one, so Rumblers will fall in 7th. But Oath now, I mean, they have all the information. I'm not sure if they were aware of Roth's position. They didn't look like they cleared down that direction. They were sweeping the edge, but expecting the full push onto Vegas here, as you can see on the screen.
Here they come. The shots are going to come out. Vegas will find one. Can Vegas find another one? No, he can't. Pat Caps will finish him off, but Vegas managing to make it to 6th place for the Comets. And that's going to be the Comets getting a 6th place finish and 5 kills. So not a bad first game for them. Here as we check now with Veritas, still 3 strong, still trying to come in from the south side. Oath looking that direction already. We also have another Snake waiting in the wings here in Roth. You can see him in red just to the north of Snakers there. And Zealot way off to the north has a compound. We'll see what Veritas can do about Oath right now. Good ridge line for Oath to work with. Jazzle will come up over the top, take the first shots, not find anything. Flashbangs coming out. Zealot, meanwhile, has been picked off. Pat Cat will take the low ground and find D-Treats on the flank. Gets one. We'll see what Veritas does to reconnect here. Oh, what a molly! The molly lands right on top of Michael, and he's going to go down. Now Jazza, the last one up, and Dodge smells blood in the water. They're coming up over the top. Jazza will find Pat Caps.
Wow.
That's going to do it for Veritas. Oath wins, but can they get the res in time and get repositioned for Dodge to make this push?
Look at that, though. The awareness there from Belfast. All the while that fight's going on, Snake is pushing up to shut down that push from Finna. Not allowing that third party. That's so difficult to do, especially at this stage of the game. The fact that Bale and Snake is both looking out for that threat, making sure that Relo and Pat Caps had all the time in the world and the safety to clean up that fight with Veritas. Really, really good stuff from Oath.
Really heady play from Oath, and they've got 4 up. They've got 12 kills already, and they now have their next circle, Roth, lying right in the middle. That Snake could end up being huge.
Snaker saw him.
Snaker saw him, and that is so fortunate, because there you go. Roth gets taken out. Add another one to the kill feed, and Oath now in a 4v4 for the win here against Dodge.
I'm gonna go. Actually, Finna gonna get the first tag through, but look at how much Oath are investing down to the south side here. Again, I guess they're anticipating the terrain gonna play a little bit better for them over on that side. Snakers, meanwhile, he's got to be careful he doesn't find himself in this 1v2 situation with Adam and Danny, but Finna and Lamp actually cautiously backing away now, and Oath have spread it a little bit.
There's a lot of ridges.
The terrain's a bit funky here, to be
honest. It is very, extremely funky. I mean, Liberate has a lot of little hills to hide behind here, whereas Oath, their hills kind of end where they're positioned right now. So, you know, it's going to be... It's going to take some crafty maneuvering on the part of Oath here, and I imagine it's going to start off with the flank from the north side. Here's Pat Caps will find Danny G. That's going to open things up. Snakers will take the long wrap up to the north. He's going to get some support from Balefrost as well, but Finna and Adam are going to be waiting and ready to repel that attack. The Frost, it's going to be basically 2v2s right here as Balefrost comes up with the top, trades with Finna. Adam goes down. Finna goes down. It's down to Lamp-a-Lot, and Oath just squeezing the fist on top of Dodge. Lamp-a-Lot will get one back, and yet he will flush out Pat Caps, but he has next to no health. The smokes are down. Oath is on the hunt. As Adam's slowly bleeding out, there's not very likely he's going to get rezzed here. Lamp-a-Lot on his own. We'll see what he can do.
This reposition is huge. I think they've actually caught wind of it. Relo sending some utility over that way. Lamp-a-Lot might get one peek on, but I think he's just been spotted out there.
Yeah, I think you're right. And we'll see how long, if maybe Lamp can at least get one more point off of this, but they're going to push it at the same time, and that's going to do it. Oath with the 17-kill win to start things off. They said locked in third. No, sir. No, sir. Not us. We are out 27 points in the first game.
I mean, that just goes to show, though, coming into the final 2 days, a 25-point lead means nothing. So any one of these teams, especially in the top 5, we know how often they can switch it up, turn it on in one game, and drop a 27-point game. Just absolutely insane stuff from Oath. Again, not on Oath Circle, but the way they took control through Circle 4, holding on to that north edge, and we said there was going to be a few teams that prioritize that. They anticipate that shift. They anticipate all that congestion. Oath played it textbook.
Absolutely. Knowing how far to go, how far not to go, especially. You kind of looked at that from the north when they were doing the wrap onto SDK. There was every opportunity for them to keep that wrap going, maybe pull into T8, but they said, no, we'll pull back. We'll just wait for it. Eventually it'll come to us. And they were perfectly set up for it, and they managed to keep 4 up super late. Never lost anybody, never got any of their knocks flushed, which is huge, obviously, especially when you're playing the edge like that.
Do you know what the other thing is? Oath just they're still one of the teams I think that looks best when they're given that space as for on foot to push and take team fights. Again, you can throw SDK and Sonics into that same one, but Oath on paper for me, they're still the most mechanically talented on paper. This roster, it's so fantastic to see them play a game out like that.
Absolutely. Well, I'd throw gas cans in there too nowadays, but we're gonna see what the desk has to say about that first one, guys. Take it away.
All I have to say is let's go, man. I said it. I believed in them. They came out. They got the win with a bunch of kills. You know, Cameron looked skeptical, but Clover laughed at my jokes. We're going to start with you, Clover. Excellent game by them. What did we talk about last week, Clover, regarding Oath?
Yeah, with Oath last week, big conversation was their strengths on Miramar and how it was kind of returning. When we look back at PCS1 and earlier in the year, a lot of Oath's points came from those Miramar matches. PCS2, that waned just a little bit, but we're seeing that return again here. I mean, as Hypox said, this was Oath's game. They were in great position, great placement through that whole game. Obviously losing Pat Caps there kind of near the end, but I mean, Pat Caps as well, top fragger for the squad that match.
Cameron, you said at the start of this game, the hole in Sonic's armor in a lot of ways is that they're better at Miramar. They come out in game 1. They did get a good kill count, but they go out in 12th place. How big a deal is that?
Considering gas cans went out right before they did, it's not that big of a deal. Again, generally in this tournament, Sonics gets 1. Except the last day, then they got 2, but they get 1 game that they're not in the top 3. Whether that continues is, I think, going to be the really big question. But ultimately, they still got 8 kills, despite going out so early on. We were talking about how them losing 2 immediately after seeing gas cans get an entire squad wipe on the ATC and the kill feed must have put a lot of pressure. It didn't bother them if they even noticed it at all. If they even took note of it, because as a duo, it was who is it? H-Win and Shrimsy still racked up a good number of kills to keep their lead up.
And they wiped the gas cans, who I will argue got a little bit lusty up on top of that hill when they saw the Sonics down there. Just a little bit. That said, though, let's go back and look at what happened in that match so that we can see just where the mistakes and the victories were won. You know what time it is, guys?
Highlights. There you go. I'm helping with the energy today. And, here you go. There's that fight that we talked about with Guadalajara gas cans here that was immediately kind of compounded with this fight with Sonics. Now, Sonics did lose 2, but as Cam just said, they were able to put down a big number of kills with that position. But, gas cans got a little bit hungry here, I think, in their mind, especially, you're chasing the Sonics on the kill feed. If you can take out Sonics when they're down to just 2, that could be a really good opportunity for them to move forward. The problem was that they were way out in the open. So for the rest of the teams, though, I mean, there was clustering at pretty much every part of the edge. We could even see, though, Duel had a really great play. It was ultimately lost there to Veritas. So.
Listen, if we want to look away from just the fight for the top 2 and look at this game as a whole, it's all about mountain climbing. It's not an uncommon circle that we see on Miramar, but it really is about how well can these teams fight uphill, and that's an incredibly difficult task, which is why it is so powerful that Oath were able to control so much of the zone that they were able to and come out at the end with such a kill lead. I mean, I am going to stand by the fact that we do still see the pockets of the top 2 and then Oath in 3rd. But just going off of Hypoc, this is a good point. If it does continue down this way, there is a chance that Oath can overcome. It's just based off of the continual performance of Sonics and Gascans. Yeah, I know you're really hoping for this. Based on the continual performance of Sonics and Gascans from week 2 specifically, they're going to have to continue on this path, and it might not be an easy one.
It is a long shot, but occasionally that long shot connects. Let's take a look at the leaderboard from that match and see exactly where the points ended up falling. Oath pulls in 27. I believe that's the 3rd highest kill count of the series so far. We saw a 19, an 18, and a 17, which is kind of wild, Cameron.
Yeah, and it's a lot of points specifically just into Oath's pocket. Like, second place gets 11. Dodge did a really good job of staying alive and make it into the end game. As I mentioned before, they do very well when they are in a strong position in the early game. They're able to work it pretty well. But still, only 5 kills, not the best I think you would have expected from them. But what, Sonics came out with 8, are in 3rd place now.
So here's my question. You said they get one game where they don't finish in the top 3. Clover, does this count as top 3?
We'll see at the end if I need that. Handicap.
You know, I'm still gonna say no. This is still a top 3 placement for Sonics, because even on the matches where they're going out early on placement, they're making sure that they're gonna make up for it in kills, and we saw that again here. You know, they really kept that wrapped and dominant. I was actually a little worried when it kind of saw Shrimzy and H1 coming in from the west, thinking, well, you've got Fabled, Veritas, Gas Cans, all these teams really set up right there to do quite a bit of damage to them, but instead it just really ended up giving a great opportunity for them to get a lot of kills. And you know, as you take a look at kills as well, you can kind of see where all that stands here for some of these players.
Let's do it. Just walk me right into it.
Look at that. Oh, Oath.
All Oath.
Would you like to say Oath? It's magic, toffees, because that is definitely what we're seeing here.
It's magic.
God,
No.
you too.
Listen, I want to enjoy it while I can. Okay, Pat Caps at 6 is great. Caps is he's becoming quite the lad, Cameron. I feel like he has stepped up. He has grown more and more and more. I don't feel like he got his fair due at NPL, but here at PCS, he has been incredible to watch.
Yeah, he's still lagging behind a little bit compared to some of the other players, but I mean, when you're in a team with these guys, that's a really hard stat to try and keep up and match everyone else. It's such a strong roster. But it's good. But the fact that Pat Caps can still come out and every once in a while top frag over Billfrost, over Relo, then that's a good sign. Over Snakers.
Clover was talking about the damage stats.
Ooh, who's the most deadly? Pat Caps, no surprise. We've got all 4 members of Oath up here this time, but
Right.
Lynxy from Duel. We talked a little bit about all that work that Duel was doing down to the south on a couple of those teams ultimately taken out just before the end game started, but that is a lot of good work put in from him there. But I mean, again, Oath with a win, seeing all the work that all 4 players did to get there.
You love to see it. And honestly, I just like to see that because it adds the possibility, Cameron, that maybe we see things shake up a little bit towards the top of the board. It's not just a 2-horse race. You know, it's still a big fingers crossed, but you never know. Let's take a big look at that overall leaderboard and see exactly where everyone stands after that big game for Oath. Oath closes the gap.
Yeah, actually, they at this rate, I might be proven an absolute complete idiot. Though that being said,
Sure.
Gas Cans I feel should be higher. If I'm not mistaken, they were at 165 going into the day anyway. So either my memory is correct or
They were at 160,
something's
I
wrong.
think.
They're at 160. Yep.
160.
Yeah.
Okay, right. It was 160 to 185. They only got 5 this time, so never mind. That's my mistake. My memory is just really, really off. But yes, you're right.
You
Oath
you just want the gas cans to do well. Like you're just. I see what you're doing.
Yeah. Listen. If they were the way that the Sonics have been playing, if the Gas Cans could come out in the way that they did in week 2 and eventually overcome them at the end, then that'd be a really great sign. But Oath are reminding us that they are still in the picture. They are still part of the conversation, and that they are still a really, really, really big threat.
I mean, Clover, I think you brought it up in the last segment, this idea that sure, the gas cans could do great, but every time Sonics is still picking up a good average in every match. And we saw it again this time, right?
Yeah, I mean, you really have to kind of give them credit. Their bad games still aren't really bad, and that's one of the things I think's been making them so deadly in this lobby. And you know, additionally as well, before we got into this match, Cameron, you kind of picked Dodge as your team to talk about, and we saw a really great performance from them this match again. Once again, finding themselves up in the late game, something that they've really grown accustomed to doing and be able to pull off. And Dodge put down the points that they really needed to kind of get right at the heels of Duel. And these 2 teams have been battling each other left and right through the entirety of these series for that 4th and 5th placement. So although Oath has kind of pulled ahead to Gas Cans, I think it's going to be really difficult for Duel and Dodge to play catch up for the top 3. There's a big possibility that the 2 of these teams are going to continue to leapfrog each other today.
Cameron, is that something to be with the style of play? Like, I think you could say Dodge and maybe Duel to a certain extent, and Zenith seem to be playing more position-oriented, cerebral PUBG, but like they get second place with, what was it, 5 kills for Dodge. And then you got a team that's playing Smash Mouth PUBG, and they go out in 10th place and still manage to rack up, 8 kills or something ridiculous like that. So is it going to work? Is that in the long term Is that strategy functional to be a top team in North America?
I think it's working out for Dodge right now. If any lesser team were to try and play in the way that Oath play, it wouldn't work. The reason why Oath are as strong of a team as they are is because of how good of fraggers every single one of them are. We are still waiting for the day that all 4 of them are online, because looking at the stats coming before, and usually 3 of them or 2 or 3 of them are popping off. There's always one that's a little lagging behind. It rotates around who that is. They're in the grand finals so far. Before today, it was Snakers that was lagging behind everyone else, with really Relo popping off. If we can get that event, that even just the single day, much less an entire week, much less an entire event, where all 4 members are fragging out of their minds, then they could easily be the strongest team in North America, even above Sonics.
That's true. In a lot of ways, Clover, I feel like PUBG's a rhythm game. Is this idea that sometimes, I mean, we all play it, right? There's days where you're not feeling it. You're like, oh, I guess the other guys are carrying the squad today. And I think you're right. Do you think that mindset, mentality, comfort, like what affects that rhythm of a team to either just kind of be there or mentally not be?
I think that the strongest teams are the ones that don't let that get into their head. If you sit there and talk to any of these guys, Shrimsy even had a really great conversation about this on his stream last week. Every player brings something, and every player has that thing to contribute. But, like you said, if there's a player that's having an off day, something isn't quite clicking, and maybe they're wondering, like, well, shoot, I didn't get the damage, I didn't get the kills, not only maybe in this match, but in the day, you just got to shake it off. You've got to shake it off and come back forward, because like Cameron has even said, all 4 members of Oath are really performing well, and they're finding that their weaknesses and turning them now into strengths. They're growing, and that's something that we can really say about all of these top teams right now, is that all 4 players are fragging out. All 4 of these players are consistently on the kills and damage charts when we look at each and every match. So it's just see if they can stay ahead of their own mind games, I suppose.
All right, well, let's head over to 2 guys who I think can stay ahead of everyone's mind games. Are going to lead us through the next match, the final Miramar of the day. It is Hypoc and Porosaurus with game number 2 of the final weekend.
Hello once again, and we are back. It is very easy to not fall victim to mind games when you have no brain, Hypoc, and you just go through life.
When you're susceptible
like
to mind games. Yeah,
exactly.
that's
no mind games.
That is actually a pretty good accolade to, I guess, ability to garnish, especially in PUBG.
Especially in PUBG. If you have the ability to not be able to get caught up in your own head and overthink things to the nth degree, that's absolutely huge, and it's something that we've talked to I've talked to Balefrost about before. Just talking about how important that mind game really is, and that ability to not tilt and be able to kind of come back from rough performances. And I'm sure more than anybody on desk or on this cast, you would know that, right?
I mean, it is very difficult. Thank you for another joke at my expense, I guess. Yeah,
I'm saying because
fantastic.
You were a player.
Yeah, all right.
I'm not saying that because you specifically found yourself in bad situations all the time.
Let's talk about MPL Phase 1 again. No, but it is important. Usually, we reference the more experienced teams being able to overcome that. It is kind of that mentality that you have a bad game, you come back and you don't talk yourself out of decisions you'd usually make. You burn your hand in a rotation and say, what if ATC end up there again in circle 1 on a similar East circle, and it's kind of not allowing that to dictate the decisions you make as a team, but also it comes down to if you're faced with in circle 5, you have to push towards a circle. There's 2 compounds in front of you that are occupied. There's no kind of rotation out of that. The play is to take one of those team fights. And quite often we see teams do this kind of think their way into the next circle. And it's very rare we see the experienced teams ever really messing up that kind of decision where it's like, we have no choice but to take this fight. So it definitely is a factor. And of course, coming into the final 2 days, it's got to be very prominent on some of these teams' minds.
Yeah, and I think what you said is really relevant. You learn from your mistakes, you learn from the past, but you don't let your future games be dictated by that, right? It's learning from it, but not trying to overthink yourself to the point where you're
again,
analysis through paralysis.
Yeah, if we use oath as an example, could you imagine if they started getting scared of taking team fights? There's so much wasted potential there. Like that, ultimately, I said at the end of the last game, I still think, as a 4, this is the most mechanically skilled roster we have in North America. And the kind of the cornerstone of their play style is being able to roll over teams in team fights. So if they allowed that to just be a factor where they're like, oh no, and we're not gonna push there because there's a team there, it's crazy to think.
Right. It's like, well, we don't want to push because, well, what if we get third partied?
Or what if we get third party, or what if somebody dies, or
exactly, like you don't want to. And one of the teams that we can kind of look at, and I'll be honest, I thought that this might have been part of their issue, but STK, with some of the struggles that they've been having, now, more recently in this. The more we watch them, I think you'll kind of agree with me here. A lot of the stuff that we're seeing with them from last week and this week in particular might be more of a result of them realizing the situation that they're in and wanting to get as many points as they can. So they're now having to put themselves in higher risk, higher reward situations.
Yeah. And it's funny to say, because historically I would have always said SDK is a team that's good at chasing in terms of the leaderboard, and you see that kind of reflected in their play style, in that slight variance of their decision making. You think back all the way to like Face It, like the way they played to kind of close out towards the end of that series, you could see them making fundamentally different decisions. Think back to PCS1 all the way down to the last game. And for some teams it works, for others it doesn't. Now, this time around, when they haven't really got anything started, it kind of makes that task even more daunting, right? Because at this point you're not chasing down. You see a team get wiped in the kill feed, and then a flick of a switch, you turn it on. And how many times have we seen STK in like circle 4 after seeing a team above them go out? Yeah, just literally clear the edge, just aggressively hold W towards any team that's in their way, go out in 8th place, but still put up 9 or 10 kills.
Yeah, and that feels like it's kind of the thing, right? They're making these same plays that they would used to make when they were chasing. The only problem is that it's just they're not finding that same consistency of success, the consistent rates of success that they have been finding. So it kind of feels like with SDK, it's one of those things where they need to get that, not so much that first big fight and game going in their direction, but that second one to start the snowball, right? And I feel like that's kind of what they're waiting for.
This sounds crazy when we think back to group stages, though, doesn't it?
Yes, I know.
It's just like
there's a team that got 300 some odd points. What was it? I'll check. 319 points in group stages, and we're sitting here and Chad is talking about STK is falling off. Oh, they're falling off. Like, they haven't fallen off, man. Like, everybody has bad games. It's just they had an initial rough week, and then they've had a rough time kind of finding that success to turn things around, to try to build off of it. And then, every team kind of goes through that. And if anything, I would think that this is actually going to be better for STK going forward, because they're going to find themselves now, they're going to have been through rough times. And they're going to have seen what it takes to get out of them after having, high levels of success, obviously. At least that's the argument I'm going to make.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you. It's so difficult to look at, what game they've brought to the grand finals, because it's just. And again, you could say it's
been bad.
They've set the expectation themselves, and
yeah.
Again, I know Kurt fairly well. He's always wanted to say, if we screwed up, we deserve like where we are, and that's kind of the right attitude to have. I think is kind of not just saying, oh yeah, we got unlucky.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and look, they'll be the first ones to tell you that especially week 1, it was bad. and week 2 didn't fare much better. So now it's less about like what can you do now. It's more about, okay, well, what do you do to dig yourself out, right? What changes can you make? What can you keep that same mindset? Can you keep that same positivity and refine that level of confidence now that we're kind of ending up PCS3 here in the grand finals, and we start looking forward to the next big events that have been announced, right? Like, you start looking at the potential of DreamHack or possibly the what is it, the PGCS, I believe. I think that's right. And obviously teams haven't been. Well, okay, look, no teams have been selected for anything yet or announced for anything yet, so we still don't know. But one would presume that STK would be, if there's a qualifier, then they would be, a front runner for that. Or if there was just an invitation process, that they would also be in a front runner position for an NA team. So, this is obviously just hypotheticals talking, but presumably they're going to be in a position where they have to get over this as quickly as possible.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I'm going to try and make the same point I tried to make in game 1, but I was rudely interrupted by Zenith, funnily enough. It was the team that was just on screen. But one thing I've noticed as the grand finals have progressed is through these, and we've had a lot of them, these kind of off-kilter Circle 1 pops with, again, a vanilla plane, so to say. But one thing I've noticed is that very few teams are kind of slipping up. We seem to have 64 alive much longer as the grand finals have progressed, even on these weird circles. So I mean, here even there's 2 teams still outside this circle. We've got Illusion and Fable off up to the north, and they're going to have a lot of space to come in. But what's interesting is keeping 64 up, but everybody's finding space in Circle 1.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
With a lot of people looking to center up as well.
Yeah, we've seen a few circles kind of around here recently. Not just in scrims, but in game. Oh, look at this. These Gas actually going for it here. This is not too surprising. What do we know about Gas? They like to push. Even if it's a longhouse, they still feel confident about it. And Rumblers now in a defensive posture. Waldo going to pull back out. He's going to immediately go down to Oldless as Oldless just runs through like a bull in a china shop. The entirety of Gas Cans just want this, and they are going to take it.
I love that. As soon as I finish up that statement, we see Gas Cans just literally holding W towards a compound. They walk in, they draw first blood. Gaxi and Lost HD now over to the other side of the compound. McCoy stuck inside the stables. Gas Cans will reset momentarily, but now they have control of this building again. Usually the long building is the key to holding on to this. Honey Badger in that off-angle position, though. He's trying to pressure in towards Gaxi and Loss. But, I was going to say, expect McCoy to be the one to make a play here if they're able to hold off this push from the Gas Cans. Because right now, I mean, he's getting forced out of this fight by the fact Gas Cans are showing this much aggression.
I mean, this is so much fun to watch if you're a fan of competitive PUBG, to see a team that just feels this level of confidence pushing into a fight. And I agree with you. I think McCoy and Honey Badger are going to be the ones that we're going to have to look at here as the push comes through. This building almost as difficult to push as the long buildings as we check in. You see Gaxi gets knocked very low. Going to have to reposition. McCoy providing a little bit of support from behind. Looks like Los is going to go and join him. They'll cover for Gaxi as well, and they're going to be back into a compound. So Gas Cans just moving between building to building, seeing what they can find, and Rumblers just trying to reposition every single time.
And they've actually all managed to get back inside the stable now. Honey Badger's come along as well to join forces with his teammates. They're still wary that somebody might be upstairs. Gonna chuck a flash up there, clear this out. But again, look at this. It's just 3 people just stacked up here, not risking anything for this. And I mean, you still got to take into account there's still 3 of the Rumblers alive. They are not letting off the gas at all. I hate the fact I've just used that metaphor when we're watching the Gas Cans, but Lost actually going to find a lot of damage over on the side of the long building. No, not coming through though. Voxic will pop the first aid.
So Honey Badger and the rest of the Gas Cans slowing down for a little bit while all this has gone on. The circle has popped and it's going directly over the top of Los Leones. Again, this is like we said, same circle we've seen kind of in the past before. Multiple times here. It looks like that Gas Cans Rumblers fight will hold down for right now. Fabled, meanwhile, trying to come in from I've lost them on my map. Where are they? They are off to the north, and they've got Norcus, who is kind of by himself here. Sharpshot and the rest of the gang from ATC going to come over and try to provide a little bit of support as Hella and Rip are coming through. And actually, Hella going to go down immediately to Norcus. Now Rip finds himself all by himself, and now he's got friends as well, as Greg Shot still just making his way out of the blue here. So Fabled trying to come in late, find themselves in a compound, and unfortunately, I think Hexetti has already gone down to a disconnect, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he actually fell to the boot. Actually hopping back on board. Gascans again looking to get aggressive on the long building here. Loss up on the balcony. Both teammates over in the stable. So Loss has got to be careful here. Needs to create an opportunity for his team to be able to help him, because right now they're not an awful lot of use to him. And Honey Badger's still in that lurker position. And actually Oldest just spotting out McCoy through the windows as well. Loss taken down pretty low. Gaxi on the outside of the building as well. And this is probably the longest team fight we've seen Gascans engaged in. Usually it's in and out done. Loss actually going to find two on the outside. Oldest and Voxic will fall from the rooftop. A deadly position from him. Nico's going to find
he gets three.
Gaxi, but Loss is finding the third, and that's just Honey Badger left now for the Gascans.
It's three almost instantly. Honey Badger will immediately look up there to see what he can do about it. Only 36 rounds left for Honey Badger right now. They didn't really spend too much time looting, because that's time not spent fighting. As we'll see what Los can find from over the top. He will get the flush. Make sure to get the point. And Honey Badger says, "You like the high ground? Well, I can high ground too. I'm gonna come up over the top." We'll see what he can spot out here. If they've both spotted each other, the headshot will come out. Los gets knocked to about half HP. Honey Badger going to get locked low by, is that Danny G shooting from range? It is. And Danny G, Adam will actually finish off Honey Badger and the Gas Cans. So you live by the sword, Hypoc. Sometimes you die by the sword.
Yeah, and I think a huge factor in that is that Rumblers were able to peel away so often and drag that out. That Gascans really, they're a team that thrives on that momentum. First knock, they convert off it, they get positioning, that they can continue that team fight. But the fact that Rumblers were able to pull that off, I think a lot of it is down to the amount of time they were able to kill.
Yeah, very well. What proved to be a very difficult compound to really try to push in and get one of those quick team fights out and done. It looks like Rumblers will be able to pull away and survive for now. Meanwhile, STK in the middle of Los Leones are going to have some shots trading back and forth with Illusion, who will come in from the eastern side. And again, Circle still falling kind of on top of Los Leones here, as a lot of teams now right in the middle of the city. Looks like STK should be able to pull away from this and reset. Not liking the position that they were in, so they will pull back, maybe rotate around. But if this circle continues to hard shift to the east, this could turn into a problem eventually for STK, as they're going to have to figure out how to get out of there.
Yeah, as Dodge did obviously flex out. We know that they were pushing down to that side. Rumblers did manage to escape away, but holding on to that position on the west side of Leonis. Oath now actually looking down onto ATC. Sharpshot getting on the underside of the hill. I don't know if they're going to try and push on top of this, but Oath again lurking on the north edge, similar to the previous game here, and lots of space to the south of them as well.
This is going to be one of those games, I feel, where we're going to see quite a few up until very late, and then it's just going to be an absolute clown fiesta as everybody's going to have to make a move. New circle has popped. Okay, well, get your rubber noses out and your rainbow wigs, because the clown fiesta should be popping off here any second. T8 actually in a spot that Oath has kind of been known to play in this circle, and they're finding they're gonna be in a perfect spot here unless Illusion can do something about it. Meanwhile, Oath looks like they're gonna try to stick around until they can finish off Norcus, and maybe the rest of ATC here. Make sure that they collect those 4 points. They've got a little bit of time to do it.
A little bit of time, yeah. I mean, the benefit is, like I've already said, there's a lot of space to the south of Oath. They haven't got any other obstacles to cross to get into this. Many of these teams that were lurking on the edge of Leonis are making a mad dash south now off that ugly shift. We'll say that much. Oh, Sonics and Veritas again getting into it here. Michael is falling. He will get rezzed again, but Sonic's already looking to get aggressive onto this.
Again, one of those weird urban fights. A million smokes down, a million walls. Kind of takes away that that spamming the throwables strat that we see so often. Sonic's actually going to wrap around to the south here, and they could actually wrap so far that they reposition themselves to where they could gatekeep Veritas. When they're basically flipping the script on them here a little bit, as Veritas not realizing that they have been wrapped on. They should find out here pretty quickly, though. Shrimsy, whoa, okay, we'll take about half his life jumping down from the top. Tiggleton will find a few shots right off the bat. Not going to find the down yet as he gets right in the face. I believe that was Michael.
Yeah, he popped that headshot there. He's actually going to find D-Treats across the street, though. Nice angle from him. Again, no real urgency coming out from Sonics. They're not keen to really force the issue here with Veritas. They're going to wait on,
look at this.
I guess, Veritas crossing the road, but, I mean, Mime's got to be careful. He's way out in the open. Actually, that flank coming out, Keenan does get a little bit of damage onto him, but can't find that down. Mime's going to be aware of that flank now.
Yeah, that flank looked like it might have been deadly. Keenan got there a little bit early. Michael was right behind him, but not really in a position to provide much support. So the dance continues here between Veritas and Sonics as Jazza gets taken very, very low, but not knocked yet. As, oh goodness, you can see in the kill feed, STK finally making short work of Illusion. That is going to be the team wipe for them, but it looks like Sonics and Veritas are actually going to pull away from each other, and both are going to manage to get inside the circle here.
Yeah, interesting now again. I mean, well played by Veritas. Actually, hold on to that. Winlow right now going to get close contact with Adam. Actually going to find that one with the AUG. Pull up now. Turn back around. Does find Patron, and actually one eye open going to fall there. Dodge cleaning up nicely. Got themselves up to 5 kills already. They were one of the teams lurking on the west side of Leonis originally, but coming down to the south above the cave here, it's paid dividends for them. They should be able to get that one off. I think they're close enough to the circle that you have to stick the res and maybe chain res it into the circle. So should keep 4 alive as well, Poro.
Yeah, we'll see. He's going to go down again. But like you said, they should be able to get him back in. Sonics, meanwhile, you can see them off to the north. They're going to have to climb this hill. But they are already under fire as Pentalol going to find the down onto H-Win. That's going to put a slow on things here for Sonics. So we see the circle again, and now Oath and STK right on top of each other in the northern part of this new circle. They're trading downs back and forth. While Veritas trying to make their way outside of the circle, they're going to take a few shots at Comets. Here's the STK fight. Siva is down. Relo is down. It's a 3v3 in some wonky terrain here. Balefrost has the low ground. Purdy Curdy with the high. He's got that frag grenade in hand. Would love to know exactly where to throw it, but has not been able to spot him out just yet. Wants to make sure that nobody is coming in from that north side. Looks like all reses have been gotten off. Pat Caps holding the anchor. The grenade comes out. We'll find some damage, but no downs. As Luke 12 will try to be the sneaky boy.
Bale's got audio on him, though. Look, you can see Bale on the X-ray just holding this angle. And that's it. Halo comes over the top. Bale was so tunneled in on Luke 12. Maybe a little bait thrown out there, just putting the footsteps down and holding on to Balefrost's attention, opening that one up. So now STK find themselves at a 4v3 with Oath here. Pat Caps trying to get a little head peek onto this side here. Shut down Luke 12, but again, neither team really pushing forward just yet. It's awkward terrain for them.
A number of team fights going on in the background. As you can see, we're going to keep in with this one. Veritas, meanwhile, has come up over the top. Civ will get traded out by Relo. Well, we'll try to take something back, but not going to find it. Snakers is going to go down to Kurt. Kurt's going to get traded back and flushed by Keenan, as now Oath is getting protection in some way from Keenan here. Pat Caps going to try to run around. It's down to just Pat and Luke, I believe, from STK and Oath, as Veritas just has the most fortuitous rotation in history. They just come up right over the top, and that's going to be it for Pat. We'll see if Luke can manage to get something off of this. He'll find Michael, and that'll be the first down. Can't get the flush, though. As we see Luke desperately trying to reposition with 0 HP, essentially. He should be able to get this res onto Michael, I think.
Should be able to reset indeed, Luke. Got to play Mountain Goat now, hiding underneath the rocks. Again, not too many options for him to pull away from this position, to you now with Veritas coming over the top. Sonics, meanwhile, making their way into the circle on the southwest side. This could be perfect timing for them. Hard shifts actually going to get the information relayed. You can see on the map now, they're actually going to look back over. Shrimzy finds a fantastic knock. He finds a second as well. Loads will fall. Oh my God, if he finds a third, he lands the initial headshot. Chaba down to about 30 HP. That is fantastic from Shrimzy.
Shrimzy getting work absolutely done. They're going to crash this while, because, I mean, look, H-Win bleeding out on the side of the hill. They're going to throw the smoke onto him and see if they can maybe keep him alive, but chances are he's most likely dead, and they realize it. Shrimzy going to be hard crashing into this, trying to see if he can get up there before they can get the reses off. Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to be in time, so Hardshift should be able to get both players back on their feet, but that is huge from Shrimzy, managing to, I mean, essentially save Sonics from getting team wiped there.
Big time. Big time. I mean, they were running in the open. You could see one peak came out from hard shifts. They noticed that. Luke 12 does get picked up on the other side just after Jazza finding Michael. But the fact the repeat comes through and Shrimzy found both of them was huge. Kickstart now right up onto the Rumblers. McCoy will fall first. Actually, Gaxi, I think, has found a little bit of defilade to hide him, but the nades coming through. Poonage landed a perfect one. Lost HD, the last man standing.
And Los has a little bit of a road ridge to work with, but you can see the circle not favoring that position. We'll see if he can maybe move himself around. Shrimzy's death campaign continues, though. Now Lobes finally takes him out, but Tig will trade them both out as they are... It's down to just Tig again. Once again, Sonics finding points wherever they can get them, and that is unfortunate.
It is.
No, not going to be able to get that motorcycle. Now Tig immediately comes around. He's like, hey, look, somebody else I can shoot. Let's do it. Yeah, let's get the down. Why not? Oh, wait. Can we steal it?
It's actually Lost that finds that one. Kickstart actually going to open up. Actually, and Lost finds the last blow onto Tig as well. So Sonics going out in 7th place after Tig was desperately trying to put another kill on the board.
We are down to our top 5 here. We do have only one left for Rumblers here, and Los... Well, I don't know how much longer he's going to be in here. He's doing some damage as a solo. Does manage to take Sonics out, and that's going to be another game now where Sonics goes out with middle range single-digit points. So that is good news for those involved in the chase. Unfortunately, the chasers go out a little bit early this time as well. Duel working around the center of the circle. They've got a 2-1 split here. Veritas all spread out this northwestern side. Spot out Los, and that's going to be it for him. Shinboy going to be the one to do the honors.
Actually, I was going to say, Jules' positioning right now, they're super split. Linksy on way off on an off angle here. That's going to find Jazza at distance, but you can see how close Zenith are above him. And actually, Woolly's going to fall on the other side of that split, so this is potentially really problematic for them. Oh my God, Shinboy.
Shinboy is on fire right now. Zenith on fire. 7 kills in the bank. They just summarily destroy Veritas coming down from that cliffside with the assistance of Duel Egg Comets. We are down to 3 here. Looks like Duel is able to get the res. Vegas will try to go for one here onto Yaxley. We'll see if Poonage and Shinboy let him get away with it. Meanwhile, Duel, they are snug as bugs in rugs. Very, very comfy inside their shack right now. Let's see if they can put a dent into Zenith at least here before the next circle pops, which actually everything's going to follow right on top of them. We have one more circle. It's really feels like it's going to depend on where this circle 8 pops. If Duel is able to kind of stick and hang out in their little shed here, then they might have a shot at this, Hypoc.
Yeah, I mean, they've got a little bit of elevation as well. That's a huge factor come late game here. Comets, though, they are still in a position to do some work here. I mean, potentially play spoiler on Duel if they do get a favorable shift. Because again, it'll be a straight 2v2 at the shack. And again, at this point, I'd rather be in the open terrain than being forced into the shack. Again, the reason that obviously 2 members of Duel are in there is how much space and the sight lines that Zenith have down on the south side.
That is rough stuff. And Yaxley's going to open it up. He's going to find Cherry. That might be the signal to go here for Comets, but they're going to have to do it while getting shot at from range.
Yes, this
is going to be a tough one, and it looks like they are just either have no smokes left or no smokes to devote to this cause as they're going to try to push in. Yaxley will go down to Wooly. Wooly keeping him alive, but Vegas will trade him out, and that is Duel with 2 down. Lynxy still holding the snake position, but Vegas getting 2 more kills for Comets, and Comets having a great day so far today.
Yeah, actually, will he be able to reset and get Yaxley up? I'm not actually sure if anybody's got a sight line on him, to be honest with you.
It doesn't look like it. They're behind the shack as well, so nobody really...
Yeah, he's got the res off. And the circle goes that way.
There you go. Duel will be kicking himself that they couldn't maybe win that 2v2 there on top. So well done on part of Yaxley and Vegas. So now the ball is in Zenith court here. How do they want to approach this? How do they want to deal with this, especially knowing that there is a snake somewhere in the form of Lynxy? Oh, Yaxley getting a little greedy, maybe reaching out from the side, trying to go for the info peek, and will get absolutely destroyed by Roth. Quick on it, and I mean, Yaxley's on his 70th bleed by now, so I think I don't think they're going to be able to get that one.
Vegas just looked at us like, nope.
That's not happening. So now Vegas is by himself. Lynxy gets found out, it looks like, and now it is all just academic here as Zenith crashes right on top of Vegas. We'll see if Vegas can pull off some magic here.
Yeah, I mean, if anyone can, he's the man to do it. Does actually land the headshot, but Roth will trade out the mini 14 headshot. Zenith's going to close this one out. 10 kills and the chicken dinner. And again, you know, start of the night, I said there was potentially a lot of movement for some of these teams throughout the top 8 and even down to 10th place. And these are the teams we're talking about. They've put up 20 points now. I think that brings them within striking distance, really, of contesting the top 4 now.
Yeah, we'll have to see what the leaderboards had to say about it. But what a game from Zenith. We haven't really gotten a chance to talk too much about them. I mean, they've been playing well. Obviously, I mean, they're up there towards the top of the leaderboards, but nothing really super sexy or anything like that. It hasn't been very eye-catching the way that they're doing it, but they're doing it consistently. They're getting their points, and they once again find themselves up here near the top.
Yeah, and to be honest, I mean, last phase we talked about, you know, the good games they had were on the back of Kickstart. They have looked much better, I guess, as a rounded 4 this time around. You could attribute that to the roster change, but again, I mean, there's an opportunity for some of these teams to make moves in the last 2 days, and Zenith has got to be one of the teams at the top of that list.
Well, we got a worth mentioning. You got Sonics in 7th with 5 kills, right? Dodge. Another 5 kills for them. Oath went out in 12th with 3. So all of our teams that are all kind of jockeying back and forth here at the top, maybe a little bit lower on the leaderboard now. This is a little bit calm, especially Gas going out 16th with 1 kill. But I think we are going to throw it over to the analyst desks to see what they have to say about game number 2. We have 2 more left to go. Guys, take it away.
I would say that Zen has found their calm place as they come out with a first place finish there. Congratulations to them, and not too shabby. So let's start again with Clover because Cameron rolled his eyes again at the ridiculous jokes that I like to make. Takeaways from that match.
I mean, you know, like the guys said, it's a really great performance from Zenith and a great performance from all 4 of the players. He had 4, quite a bit of kills from all of them. But Roth, really great performance. This is a person that we've really talked about, I think, at length at the growth. And I just think the way that he's really been able to lock in and hone his skill. But I also want to give a shout out to Rumblers because we didn't get to see as much of their performance on camera as much as it was in the kill feed, but they racked up a very big amount of kills for themselves that match.
8 kills, Cameron, not too shabby. Thoughts on that match as we pull up the highlights?
Ooh, highlight.
That match just Los Leones screwed everything up. It was either the second or third shift that basically Los Leones is dead center, and then it just pulled us immediately away from that. And so we see throughout the mid game a lot of teams just struggling with making it through Los Leones and then through the rocky area just south of it. There was this big old kerfuffle of about 7 teams all engaged with each other on this plateau area. There it is, Padcaps going out, Oath going out in 12th place. It was just scrappy fights across the board, teams picking up points here, there, everywhere, outside of a few teams like the Rumblers with 8 kills there, and of course Zenith with, how many kills did they get overall? Close to 10 kills for them. It was just a lot of sprinkling kills throughout most of the teams.
You know, and Zenith, well, they really kind of played position. I mean, they kept 4 players up. They kept ahead of the zone. They made sure they always had 1 foot in it and kept that control all the way up through the end. As we see this now, again, you know, fantastic shooting by Roth. You had those 2 members of Duel up in that shack that you see Vegas was ultimately able to move up to try to play from. But when you've got 4 members of Zenith with every angle on you, you can see Roth with that headshot all the way from down the streets. I mean, that was that comfort. That is a comfort that we want to see from them. And oftentimes when we've talked about Zenith in the past, we've said, you know, this is a team with a lot of potential. This is a team on paper that's got that power. And that was a really great display of that power here this match.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those teams with Zenith, Cameron, that I feel like we would consider maybe prior to this tournament and going forward in sort of that mix for top 4, top 5 North America. They just can't ever seem to I don't know. It seems like when we get to the finals, they're just always on the cusp of breaking that top 5, top 4. It just, they can't seem to do it.
Like, I think they're past the cusp of breaking into being at least if you want to look at this year as a whole, just take a whole snapshot of PCS 1, 2, and 3. I think that it is a very reasonable argument that Zenith are 4th place. The difference is, though, when you compare them to SDK, Sonics, and Oath, where up until now we're sort of considered the big 3, there is a little bit of a lag there behind when you're talking about Zenith in 4th place. And I think Poro said it best about them, is that even though this is the best Zenith roster that we've seen, they're still not performing in a very sexy way a lot of the time. They do still seem to have a little bit of issues in getting like the peak S+ score of their game. But the fact that they're still performing as well as they are, I think, and with off of this win, should put themselves in a really good position. Shows that they're never a bad team, as I guess.
Let's take a look at the leaderboard. Let's take a look at the leaderboard from that match. But I agree with you. It's you know, Poro said it. They're not winning in the sexy way that, say, Guadalajara gas cans can, right? So if you want to maintain your top 4 position, maybe you got to jazz it up a little bit, add some sequins. Let's do this thing. That said, though, they shone bright here, Clover. 10 kills, 20 points. Not a bad win.
Not a bad win at all, but you know, you talk about gas cans and being sexy. I think they've been getting a little too fancy with it. That's 2 games in a row that have been a little bit heartbreaking in terms of the potential that we've really been expecting from them. Not at all mirroring the 64-point day that they had last week. So a bit of a heartbreaker, but you know, Zenith, Comets, Rumblers, Veritas, Duel, Shoot to Kill, all up here on the top 6. These are teams that right now are playing to climb. And I definitely think this is going to shake some things up at the overall leaderboard and potentially maybe shake up what our top 3 might look like at the end of tomorrow.
Let's take a look at the match kills. Cameron, I'll let you start us off on this one.
Close up there with 7.
Yeah.
You said that Rumblers got 8. 7 of them on the big man himself. He is still such an amazing player. It's a bit unfortunate to see the Rumblers not really figure out what needs to be done as a group before, but if anything else, the biggest takeaway from this entire PCS is that Los is still such a big star fragger. But then also, just to my point of what I was saying earlier, how there's sort of a few kills scattered here and there. It wasn't 1 or 2 teams sort of taking over the lobby, which is something that you can see in other games of PUBG. There are 5 different teams here in the kills top 5.
That's true. Let's take a look at the damage leaders, see if that follows the same guideline, 5 different teams.
You know, we've got 2 Zenith guys, so almost 4 different teams. But once again, Los putting in that work. You know, we were able to see that kill he got on to Tiggleton while Tiggleton was fighting Zenith there in the mid game for Sonics. And, you know, again, that's the work that we really didn't see the Rumblers that were putting in. They were playing aggressively. They were maintaining as much control up through the mid game. And although they were going out a little bit earlier than we would have liked, they were able to get quite a bit of kills. Now, Zenith, once again, putting in work as well. Punich and Shinboy. I mean, these 2 guys are as a duo, very deadly. And when you can keep them up together through the late game, it's when we see a lot of this magic here for Zenith. But once again, Luke 12 and Vegas, again, for Comets, additionally, doing some great work for their squads.
Interesting to me, Cameron. Roth was the top killer, but his two teammates were.
He just steals kills from his
Yeah,
teammate.
exactly. I was going to say that.
There's no other excuse. That's the only way
I'm
to
just
look at
finishing
it,
your
right,
kill,
Shirley?
guys. I'm just finishing your
Yeah,
kill.
right?
It's fine.
Overall leaderboards, the Sonics 1 point away from breaking the 200-point barrier. We can pretty much count on that in the next game. Gas Cans at 166 as they hold on over Oath just barely. And then a very big break off when we jump down into 4th place, Cam.
I'm just like, Gaskins are kind of letting me down here. I was trying to set up this entire week as, I mean, I very blatantly set it up as a Sonics Gas Cans fight. But yeah, Sonics haven't had the best of days. Like, the one thing to look at is that their Miramars haven't been the greatest Miramars that they usually were previously. But for the Gas Cans, it's been even worse. And Oath have been they had obviously a really good starting game. And, all right, but still a really good starting game just to start this day off. If this day ends up with the Gas Cans being overtaken by Oath, I would be sorely disappointed.
I will say this to a certain extent, though, Clover. It is encouraging to me to see that the Gas Cans are, they're, for all intents and purposes, going ham. Like, they see themselves in second. They know that they had a long way to go towards first and are probably not going to fall below 4th. So I feel like they came out with aggression on their side today. They didn't let up off the gas.
No, they didn't. You know, it's a thing that's worked for them well in the past. You know, we have seen the past few weeks. It's worked very fantastic for them. I think the problem right now, and there was even a Twitter poll that PUBG Esports put out earlier today. What is the things that they need? One of the answers was patience, and I think that's something that they need to kind of focus on going forward when we switch over to Erangel. It's great to put the pedal to the metal. It's great to, you know, hold down W.
Yeah.
But it's not working for these two matches. I think they're getting a little bit too overzealous, and they need to just, you know, reel it in a little bit.
Cameron, would you put Gas Cans in the same teamwork category that you would put a team like Oath or STK or to a certain extent Sonics? Teams that we know thrive on sort of the way the four men work together. Or do you see them more as sort of like individuals shining together?
I mean, kind of. What's the opposite of a trick question? Because I don't think you'd be even a mediocre PUBG team if you are not a group of 4 all playing together. Because of all of the factors that come into a game of Battle Royale, you need to be able to have very quick, snappy communication, be able to be on the same page from the get-go with the entirety of your squad. Now, some teams are, we like to talk about how some teams are a little more maybe ethereal than others, a little more strategic versus just go frag heavy. But both of those styles do require immense chemistry between the entirety of all 4 members involved.
Let's get into Honey Badger. I'm getting word we have a little bit of a delay on the next game, so let's break some stuff down here. Honey Badger's interesting to me, Clover. He's a player that is playing out of his mind right now. If you look at the numbers, it's very, very impressive. On par and sort of conversationally with Tiggleton and the things that he's done. But Honey Badger hasn't been someone that we've talked about very much in the past, particularly at length. What is it? Is it the team? Is it his maturity? What have you seen change in this player over the recent past?
You know, I think it's everything. Honey Badger has really put himself in situations, you know, on and off the field to grow and learn. I think that Gas Cans as a whole have kind of taken a chance on some different styles of play, some creative styles of play, things that sometimes some of those players have worked on and used in other leagues and other PUBG esports, and have found a way to kind of make it work here in the PCS scene. Now, obviously, sometimes things falter just a little bit, but the creativity, you know, lends itself. They're able to catch a lot of people off guard. They're able to farm on pretty much anybody in the lobby, you know, regardless of who that team can be. And I think that those 4 players work together to not only get Badger in a really great position where he can frag out, but even if Badger necessarily isn't in a great position, we've seen, you know, Oldless and Voxic and really everybody on that squad come away from some matches with an insane amount of kills. And I think it's just the way that that team works together, you know, to find kills and then kind of say, all right, we've got the kills, let's get the late game.
Fair. Cameron, I'd be interested to hear your take on Gas Cans as well. I mean, again, this is a team that when we started PCS3, they were on our radar, but they weren't in sort of the list of like, this is a team that's going to be in the top 2. Definitely, I can guarantee no one that I know in the panel or the analysts that I spend time with would have said Gas Cans has a chance at winning the grand final. coming into this. It changed. Tell me about this team. Like, what is it that's working so well?
So up until this point, they were always the team, and I'm even looking at when they were 303 and PCS2 specifically.
Right.
They were always a team that would frag out early on, but would really not do a lot of work once it hit the mid game, once it hit the late game. And that I think is true to say when you look at group stage of PCS3. But something happened. I don't know. Maybe it's just they could have easily had a conversation. It's like, hey, let's just try and slow this down and try and get to the late game, or maybe they just, through playing together, through their practice, subconsciously unlocked the ability to do more than just frag out in the early game. They slowed it down just a little bit. By doing so, they have unlocked this whole new world of playing throughout the mid game and playing throughout the late game. And if you want to look at the previous game when they went off against the Rumblers, that could be a bad sign of up against the final week. They're now back in the mode of putting it all early game all the time.
How sad for 303 that they went over to Europe and dropped these guys, and now they're in a position to be one of the best in North America. That said, guys, let's head over to the match. Our first round of Erangel about to get underway. It is Porosaurus and Hypoc taking us to the Island of Dreams.
It is I, it is he, it is Poro, it is Hypoc, and we are going over to the Island of Dreams, but sometimes...
Sandhawk, indeed.
Oh my gosh, you're bringing back memories, man. Sandhawk, dude, we saw some fun games on Sandhawk.
I loved Sandhawk, but I don't care what any of the players say. I loved watching Sandhawk.
I'm right there with you. Like it felt like Sandhawk started like towards the end of its cycle. It started to kind of get a meta built up around it instead of everybody just memeing it and then saying like, well, let's just see what we can get out of it. But the Isle of Dreams and sometimes beautiful nightmares is in this case going to be the old bunny and egg, Erangel.
Bunny and egg. Yeah. You've lost me there. I'm going to be honest.
You know, are you
He's
serious?
made up a phrase.
You've never looked at the overhead view, the map screen, and seen the rabbit jumping over the egg?
I mean, I'm looking at it right now. I don't see it.
With the river is the ear separated from the body. How do you not see this? I don't understand.
Anyway, the plane fairly central,
Somebody help
south
this
to
man.
north over Sosnovka, ended up all the way towards Stow. I'm sure we'll get a chance to take a quick look at it in a minute and see the bunny hopping over the egg.
There you go. Tell me you don't see a bunny and egg. The egg is Millie. It's a rabbit jumping over it.
Sure.
Oh my gosh, you're just trolling me at this point because there's no way that you can't possibly not see this.
I mean, I see it, but it's not great. I'm going to be honest.
As most things involved with me, I see it. That's just not great.
Just one disappointing after the other.
It's just always constantly nonstop. The one. Okay, so there is one interesting thing to bring up about this flight path right off the bat. Is that a flight path like that, if it goes Millie or if it goes Milta Power, that could open up things here very significantly.
It definitely could. Obviously, the addressing the elephant in the room for that scenario is obviously Oath. We know how good they are at converting those Milta Power circles. And it comes down to kind of that aggressive positioning in the early game, stopping anyone from getting in. But, flip right on the other side, actually. Pretty much, I mean, it's other side of the island, really, centered pretty much northwest of Ferry Pier. But lots of water in that. Lots of Sosnovka still in that. SDK have dropped onto the west side. So there is an opportunity for Gas Cans to get aggressive onto another team early game, whether or not they're going to have a beat on the fact it's SDK in this scenario.
Not fabled this time, boys. I mean we've known Gas Cans to crash on that little intersection there quite a few times. As fabled, unfortunately, has probably still got a little PTSD about. But it looks like SDK is just going to go ahead and get vehicles, get on out of there, and get over to Ferry Pier, which is where they normally like to loot around here. Now they do have the additional complication of comets. You can see Leda and Monty kind of hanging out in Glass House right now. Now, I imagine SDK is just going to avoid this completely as I don't believe that it's part of their normal loot spots. And yeah, it looks like they're going to be able to pull away from it for the time being. As we check in with Kurt, he does manage to have at least an AK for himself as he starts to get that Fairy Pier looting process going.
Yeah, and Monty, unfortunately, I don't know if these guys have got a vehicle as well, but they do have the esports.
Plenty of loot for a
backside. Yeah. As I said, the problem is if they haven't got a beat on exactly where SDK have set up ahead of them, Monty's only got the Uzi and a red dot, but it looks like they're going to be heading north regardless, so going to negate that situation altogether.
I would imagine he probably got a little bit of an audio cue off of the gang driving by on the beach. Well, we see Michael from Veritas making his way back towards the school area to rejoin with the rest of his team. Going to pass briefly by Hexetti, but Hexetti is completely content with looting up his own compound right now. Well, maybe not. Maybe you can take a few shots. At least let him know that, hey, buddy, I see you there.
Yeah, I mean, I was just thinking that for STK, obviously making that move back across to the north, over towards Ferry Pier. This is the thing with gas cans kind of employing this early game aggression and this, demonstrating that they're not afraid to push out and push anyone. Whether or not that's an STK's kind of thought process is we need to get the hell out of here in case gas cans try anything crazy. They do their thing and push towards us.
I'm actually kind of interested because recently we've seen SDK do this Ferry Pier drop on planes that kind of go this south, right, where they can't really reasonably make it up to South Georgia to do their normal looting spot. But I swear, going back in my mind, I can't remember the last time I've seen SDK drop here and get the circle. So I'm kind of curious to see how they decide to play this one out, where they decide to go after they finished looting up in Ferry, and how they kind of see the mid game playing out in this one. As we check in with Dodge, making their way across the open fields just to the north of Hardships right now, just to the south of Sonics, and it looks like they'll be able to take this, this compound at least.
Yeah, that's an early move for them. Again, I mean, we touched on the desk as well. It's, I'm just, you caught me off guard there because I was just looking at the map. Look at all the teams that have just made a mad dash to the center, and everything is open to the north. I mean, there's pretty much, 5 teams now inside what you would consider the center here, and I mean, I was saying last game how often we're keeping 64 up, and I'm anticipating a few deaths with how many people have opted to come and center up on Circle 1 here.
Well, Sonic's paying a little bit of a price here. Is H-Wing going to get popped from range, and Veritas crashing immediately on top of that to make sure they secure that down. And now Sonic's finding themselves in a little bit of a weird situation. Mime in North Quarry, while Shrimsy and Tig in a compound by themselves here. We see, there we go. That's going to be the first kill of the game, and it seems like Win has had a little bit of a rough time making it to mid and late game lately, as the boys will take a few shots back. And of course they managed to hit Michael down to 34 HP through the smoke clouds.
Obviously.
Oh, and now Mime's going to get him too. Look at this. Jeez Louise. These guys can hit everything. It's disgusting.
Yeah, but just coming back to obviously the map, it's going to be interesting to see how many teams opt to come now. Obviously coming in later on, as I say. That Luke's actually going to find Honey Badger here, as gas cans did make the move across the bridge. Honey Badger is out in the open a little bit. Whether or not STK look to aggress onto this, they are split 2-2 right now. Halo and Kurt way further over to the west here. I can't see them hopping in vehicles to come back across and support. So it's going to be on Luke 12 and Uncivil if they want to try and clean this up.
It's Civ making the close wrap. He's actually getting pretty close enough here to take a few shots over there, and we'll get the re-knock on Badger, I believe. But now it looks like he's going to pull away. So yeah, no hard crash coming out from STK right now, but they are proven to be an absolute nuisance here to gas cans, at least right off the bat. They will get the res once again, but now that's Honey Badger on his third knock already. They're going to have to consider that when pushing forward for the next few times. And they also know that Fairy Period's occupied. So looks like they are going to get in vehicles and just get on out of there and try to find somewhere else to play from for now.
Yeah, I mean, they've got to be careful. The only really option they have here is to play that little ridge just on the north side of the road, because Comet's coming across to the barn compound and Duel over to the east. It kind of creates a couple of obstacles for them. So hoping they don't run into any issues there. They've managed to keep 4 up, and again, with the early game pressure not going in their favor this time around. Again, we talk about decision-making changing slightly game by game. The fact that, Rumblers were able to really take it to them. Gascans may be thinking now that leaderboard-wise, maybe we default to playing a little safer. Oath have obviously closed that gap at an alarming rate.
Let's slow it down a little bit for the time being. Speaking of Oath, they're making their way in just past Pachinki Hill. Fortunately for them, nobody up on top of it right now, completely unoccupied. So they should have a spot to at least hold down and scout out their next location, because they got some traveling to do. We have now shifted hard west, centering up over Quarry, and everybody hopping into vehicles now. Look at that mini-map. Everybody on the move.
Well, lots of real estate. And again, with these western circles, it's so important to have a foothold early. We know the later the game goes on, there's only really 2 roads that run along that west coast, and the rest of it is kind of tricky terrain at some parts. That was almost a perfect barrel roll. Penta not sticking the landing, unfortunately. But, we're coming to these sorts of circles late. You know that you never get an opportunity to get situated. You're going to lose 1, maybe 2 in rotation. It becomes that snake game. How often have we seen Quarry come down to, solos and duos in that mid to late game transition? But Oath and Duel actually getting into it in rotation here. Wooly going to take a little bit of damage, down to about 50 HP, but Oath looking like they don't really want to messy with it. Well, Lynxy actually going to join formation with Oath here in the vehicle convoy.
Is perfectly camouflaged in the convoy. It looks like Duel's going to break off to the south. Oath will break off towards the north, back towards the quarry, where Sonics have already set up shop, and they're going to get the quick down on a passing Danny G. So it's 3 of Sonics on the south side of quarry. Veritas posting up on the north side. Looks like Oath will hunker down on the eastern edge of quarry. Meanwhile, you can see Illusion. They're trying to make their way past Fabled. Light Show is going to get picked off by Greg Shot. Great SLR shots coming out of him. Haxetti will try to make sure he continues around, try to go for the flush. Nope, Rip will do it for him. And Illusion losing 2 just like that in rotation to Fabled.
Yeah, I mean, that was actually a fantastic shot from Greg. Again, and then this is kind of a byproduct of a circle shift like this. We already said teams hop in vehicles, they bomb it, but T8 now pulling up onto 1-eye open on the very hill I was talking about earlier. Delta going to find the first. Wimu will fall. Steezy now going to take a little bit of damage from Ryan. He actually turns it on Patron. Going to come out on top of that one. 50 HP. There's got to be careful Winlow doesn't come over and re-peak.
T8 spread out on the southern side of this hill. You see Zealot all the way over towards the bunkers, taking shots back. Winlow and Delta will be forced back. Manhardy creeping forward, though. He hears the shots from Zealot. He might be in range to get the shots here, and he will. He'll get the down on a Zealot. It's now a 2v3. Looks like Delta back in the vehicle, trying to reposition. Winlow going for the flank onto Steezy. Can he find it? He'll take the shots. He will get the down, and it's now just down to Lush, and 1-eye open is collapsing on top of him. He's going to try to hop in the vehicle and get out of there. No sirree. Manhardy finishing off, or Delta rather, finishing off the job, and T8 is out in 16th place.
Yeah, and they, kind of pulled up and landed some kills in 1-eye open's lap, and it does give them a lot of space now. Loads of teams have over-rotated into this, so 1-eye open do have a decent opportunity to make ways into this and maybe get hold of some ground. Gonna wait on the next circle coming in the next couple of seconds to see where we're headed, whether or not it gets any funkier. Oh my word. Goodness. It pulls all the way down to the south.
Goodness gracious. So look at some of these. So look at some of these 2-2 splits we have. Also, Hypok. You got Gas and a 2-2, STK and a 2-2 split off by Comets. Hard shifts. I mean, everybody else kind of more clumped together. Although Fabled is kind of working along this whole ridge side. They're going to see Illusion and ATC kind of fighting off in the distance. So Fabled might be able to pick off a few off of this after they already did a little bit of damage to Illusion. I believe Illusion now down to just Woe after ATC got the crash onto them, and now we see a few more vehicles on the move. Veritas going to try to make it past Sonics. The shots are coming through. Nothing finding the mark just yet. And it looks like STK will also be able to reconnect and regroup as 4, but now Veritas pushing right into Comets. Comets already in the compound. Is Veritas ready for this? Michael's going to take half of his health just getting off the bike. Leda will finish off the job for him. And now Monty's going to have to get taken low as Keenan down to 33 HP. The grenade's going to come out. The vehicle comes out. Jazza gets 2, but he also gets Michael and the grenade. Look at Alo picking up kills from this as well. Jazza going to take the shots. He's going to find the tire, but he's also going to find the down on the Comets on Leda. And it's now just 1 up, and it's going to be Vegas playing it from the low ground. And now all of them are dead. Every last one of them got third-partied.
Yep. And that was a bit of a clown fiesta, to be honest. I was about to say the fact STK were able to regroup from their split to where they did was going to be huge if they were going to be able to pressure some rotations coming in, and straight away seeing the benefit of that position.
Well, they managed to pick up 3 kills, I believe, just off of that, because I don't think they've been in any other fights other than that with gas cans earlier. Meanwhile, Rumblers trying to make their way down, but they've got Duel just in front of them, and Duel is running into One Eye, who is on the beach. So 1 down for Duel already in Wooly, as Winlow did a little seat swap action on him, and now Winlow wants to come up and try to get it, but he doesn't know that Cherry is there. The raid boss will take him down. Delta now stopping on the tank from the beach, and he's going to get bolted in the face by Pentalol. Mon Hardy now left by himself, wondering where to go with 3 tires and a dream, as One Eye looked like things were going their way, but man, that turned around quick.
It did indeed, and this actually, I mean, I even said they had a lot of space to just head west on that previous circle, and opting to come down to the south side, maybe trying to look for a way into Primorsk, looking for that city dive play now that the circle has shifted there. But yeah, down to 1 man standing. Actually, Rumbler's pulling up over on the edge of Primorsk. Voxic going to find himself a lot of contact if he peeks over the top there. The flashbang came over. I'm not sure there's going to be a peek on the back of it, but gotta be careful here, Rumblers.
Yeah, Badger giving some decent support here from range. Combined with Oathless, Oldless rather, Gaxi will come up with the top, take a few shots, but also take about half his health in return. So Grumblers will have to pull back down. They are also getting shot, I believe, from STK. So kind of a precarious position for Rumblers to be in right now. And it looks like they're just going to go ahead and pull off of that hill and just take the safe spot for the time being. Gas cans, meanwhile, will hold down in Primorsk. Looks like they are not really concerned with trying to push out from this just yet. Fabled, meanwhile, still not inside circle. They hear the shots coming out from Dodge. Dodge holding down the compound just to their south. Looks like they might go back, find vehicles, and maybe do a little bit of a rotation here. You can see them scouting out. They scout out the buildings. I don't think they've spotted that Zenith has already set up shop there. No vehicles can be spotted here from Haxetti, and that might be him giving the all clear sign.
Yeah, the timing was actually perfect for Zenith to slip into the backside, and you can see already they're heading that way. The information has been relayed, so expect an all-out brawl for the compound here. Greg Shot going to be first contact, pulling up in the buggy. Whether or not anybody sends any utility over. There you go. Kickstar going to open up. Greg Shot down to 30 HP. That nade landing didn't actually do any damage to him.
Oh, no.
Stuck on the doorway. Hella. Oh, my God. Hella blocked the doorway. Greg Shot couldn't get in either. They both fall to Adam from distance.
Oh, the timing on that was absolutely perfect. Adam getting the knock onto Hella as she was walking in the door just in time to stop the push. Rip is now going to go down to kickstart, and now it's just 1, and that is it. Fabled. The dip was not free. The compound was not free. Zenith cleaning that one up, as Dodge providing a little bit of support as well.
I mean, the timing on 2 separate moments there. Obviously, Haxetti scouting it out, and the vehicle just slipping out of line of sight behind into the backside of the building. But Zenith do clean that up with relative ease. The fight between Rumblers and Gascan still raging on at the edge of Primorsk here. You see one member of Rumblers down. It's actually Gaxi. I think he's getting rezzed right now, but expect Gascans to try and capitalize on that.
Unfortunately for Gascans right now, SDK a little bit more concerned with what's going on to the north, although they now have turned back around. They're more, you can see Luke 12 starting to make his way down here to see if he can maybe get a third-party angle on this. Gascan's still working that hill. They need to be careful. They need to be quick about this. This is exactly what happened to the last time.
Yep.
Remember, it took a little bit too long, and there come the shots. Badger already knocked down to about half HP as he tried to make the push, and now it's just going to be time to reset as Gascans pull out of that. So Rumblers will live to fight a little bit longer.
And just thinking about this now, obviously, depending on where this next circle goes, Gascans might not have the opportunity to play south side of the street any longer. And Rumblers keeping 4 up all this time could be a factor. Actually, as I say that, Cherry going to come over the top on the east side of that hill and find Waldo through into the shack.
Managing to keep 4 up, but they are working their asses off for it here. As now Hardship's actually going to come up over the top and find Duel. Luke is working with the once again. Gotta love to see it. They finish off Penta. Waldo gets finished off as well, and now Duel down to 3. Rumblers down to 3. Hardshifts will hold down the spot. New circle pops, and look at that. Give out a huge cheer, STK fans. Your team not only made it to Circle 5, but they made it 4 up, and they have a great position in this one. We will see where it goes next. You can see Sonic still up in Quarry with 2. I think Oath might have had something to do with that. You see them already as 4. Hardshifts already collapsing inside.
Yeah, and Hardshifts actually maintained that same 2-2 split we saw them in earlier. So the fact they were putting shots down onto the Rumblers. You see, actually, ATC just made a mad dash into the edge of Primorsk, taking control of the Wizard Tower. Zenith now, you know, they were boxed in over at this compound. They're coming early. Kickstarter actually going to find Lampalot at range with the SLR, but Zenith got lots of ground to cover. Luke actually stealing that one away from Zenith, so expecting a pull-up towards SDK right now, because Zenith don't have a lot of options other than if they blind send it to the other side of that hill. Oh, no, they...
I thought he high-pointed there, and there goes Poonage. Roth already extremely low. The smokes are coming out to see if they can maybe stay alive a little bit longer, but I think those might be just those are more just for their own benefit to feel a little bit safer than anything here. As Kickstart does manage to get to a stopping point, we'll try to provide a little bit of support, but Tig will get Finna, actually. Luke is going to be the one to find Shinboy here, and now Tig is going to go down and get flushed. So Sonic's down to 1 here, but Zenith in a lot of trouble, just down to Kickstart. And STK smells blood in the water. You can see them trying to make their way over. Dodge has been finished off. As we said, STK was in a great position, and they are capitalizing on that right now.
No, indeed. Shrimsy still could play spoiler here, I guess, on either of these teams. He's going to have an open uphill angle. I think he just peeked out the left side of that smoke, was like, yeah, maybe not.
Shrimsy playing spoiler again? Never. Okay.
Relo finds it.
Relo gonna be the one to end that one, and that's Sonic's down in 10th. Another performance from them that's, well, I mean, at this point, if we're not seeing double-digit games coming out of Sonic's, we're a little bit surprised, right? So Oath going to crash on this from the north side. They still see Zenith in that kill feed. They know the reses haven't come through. They know that Zenith is having issues. Shoot to Kill is trying to see if they can finish this off, but they're not able to do so just yet. Civ will find Kickstart. Oath will start getting shot in the back from Hardshifts now, and that's going to put a damper on their push. So Zenith might actually get at least one of these reses off. Yeah, they do. Roth back up. We'll see how much longer Shinboy and Roth can manage to stay alive here. Civ's bolting.
Yeah, let's see it. There was at least 2 bolts on the field. I'm pretty sure Maluk still has an Orm as well. So lots of space on the north side of the road. You can see now on the map how many teams are kind of congested around Primorsk. Yeah, it makes it very difficult. It's deceiving, really. A lot of that field, a lot of that hill, is going to be unplayable just because of the sight lines from the south. Or at least it's going to be very difficult because you've got to worry about all those angles from the south as well as Hardshifts as well. So we've got 3 teams we need to squeeze into this next one, all out on the north side. Oath, Zenith, and STK. I think they might be able to coexist temporarily, but it's definitely not comfortable. I don't expect either of these teams to opt for that.
Not at all. This is going to be a little bit wild here towards the end. Zenith will hop in the vehicle, see if they can maybe find some line to make their way in. And wouldn't you know what they do? And Kurt's going to find a line on a Pat Caps. That's going to be one down for Oath. As Zenith still trying to crash in. They're going to crash in right on Rumblers at the gate. And it looks like they're going to actually get away with it for the time being. McCoy will try to see if he can do something about it as shots are trading back and forth between Oath and STK. Here goes McCoy. Shimboy already low, but nope, that Molly will do it. And McCoy gets flushed out. Rumblers down to 2, but Shinboy's going to go down to Marcelic, who finds an angle down the street through the smoke. We'll find him, and I doubt we're going to see Roth try to go for any res there.
Nope. No, not after sending it like that. Once you get into ticket booth here, you're not moving. Oath actually now looking to aggress onto STK again. Circle moving now. Time not on their side, but STK can wait this one out. To be honest with you, they got the foothold inside the circle. They can force Oath into an uncomfortable position.
Hardships is also kind of a third problem here, though.
Yeah, they are. They're encroaching on the hillside.
It's kind of one of those things where you feel like, I mean, Oath obviously in the worst position here, but they could actually get away with this if Hardships and STK start fighting off here. But Alo going to find Snakers, STK getting a throwable kill. Who'd have thought? Meanwhile, Pat Cap's going to go down to Chubba, and the pinch is on. It's down to Relo and Balefrost. They've got the smoke down to try to protect themselves from Hardships from behind, but STK just not pushing right now. They're not peeking up over this ridge line.
They're expecting this.
And they've got the smokes on them, and here we go. Balefrost's going to open things up. He's going to find one. Can he find 2? Kurt will find him. No. STK rallies, and they make short work of Oath.
Yeah, I think, again, the fact that Hardships were getting picks onto Oath there, maybe thought STK forced them away. But yeah, here comes Hardships now. Chubba going to try and open up with the AK, going to send another nade over. The fact is, they're still getting this res off, so that nade could do huge damage here if it lands. Does do a little bit, and actually the second one's good. Lope's going to find Kurt. Now 2 members of STK down. You can already see Alo down to about 20 HP. Uncivil not full HP either.
Oh, this is rough. The throwables just coming all over him. Maluk will find him through the smoke with the Alo will get one. Can he get the flush before he goes down? Yes, he can, but he does go down, and STK goes down in 7th place. Hardships with the perfect opportunity to come in third party on this. Played that absolutely exactly how they needed to, and now you see where the circle is gone. While all this is going on, gas cans finally leave their spot in Primorsk and make their way up the hill and start cleaning things out.
Yeah, actually now with that play, he kind of secures himself the high ground we were talking about in the previous game. And the fact that the circle obviously did come over to the west side as much as it did means that it's very much playable now. Maluk actually going to fall though. Lost HD finding an SLR pick there. Maybe Maluk still trying to put that arm to good use and get a pick elsewhere, but he will fall. And looks like J-Sank is peeling back a little bit to get the res, so they might be able to reset off it and wait out some of these other fights kicking off.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the huge issue, right? Maluk kind of going down, but very, very separate from the team. And Lobes and J-Sank were trying to prevent, I imagine, the push, the eventual push coming out from ATC to come across the street. But that's not going to be able to happen now. It's just Lobes trying to go for the hold while J-Sank will go for the res. So Hardships opening up a door here for some of these teams to try to make their way over across the street. See gas cans still working on that high hill, and they are just barely inside here. As Honey Badger will find Aguila. What else can they do here? I mean, this hill is just barely in, but they are doing so much work right now.
They are indeed. Norkis not safe at that ticket booth, so he does have to cross to his teammates at some point. Whether or not they're going to be able to get any more smokes down, I don't see the other members of ATC throwing any utility for Norkis here, so he's going to have to run in the open a little bit. He's getting tagged up already. Nico's going to find it. Another point going over to gas cans, up to 6 now, still 4 strong. And this is when we know gas cans can really run away with the game.
Well, the circle is going to pull away from them. The rest of ATC going to take over Hardships' attention right now, while gas cans will focus their attention on Rumblers. They know that these two are in here. They've known for some time. I don't know if they have any throwables to really do anything about it, though. That's the problem. Marcelic will try to peek the corner, and he's going to be spotted out by Honey Badger. He will take one to the face while Oldless tries to make the move. He'll find Los. He's going to go down, though, to J-Sank on the push, as now J-Sank will get traded out as well by Voxic. So they're going to go for this res, and they're going to clear out Gaxi. Gas Cans looking to be in control of this southern side, but they still have to make it across the road. J-Sank is getting resed right now, and Marcelic is still an issue.
They're moving. They're literally moving off that knock onto J-Sank. So really, really good proactive play here from Gascan's Honey Badger, actually pulling a Dacio halfway up the hill here. You can see the utility going straight out. They want to take this fight. They want to do it now. They want to fight for the high ground and take control of this end game.
There's one thing that Honey Badger loves more than anything in this world. It's having an AUG in his hand and being able to push as he finds his way right underneath the hard shifts now. Marcelic looks like he is just going to go ahead and hide in that booth for as long as he can. Doesn't want any part of this, but you got to see, I mean, you see hard shifts, Gas Cans always keeping one eye open to make sure that they keep an eye on him, that they don't get flanked. So now hard shifts, they have their high ground, and you can see how spread out they are. But if you look at the mini-map, you can see how pinned they really are up against the back here. Maluk going to open up with a few shots on Nikos, get him very low, but immediately gets traded back by Honey Badger and Nikos. Nikos will go down, but Lobes gets immediately traded back. I told you, man, Honey Badger loves that AUG, and he is making it sing right now. But he's going to go down to J-Sank, the victim of the AUG. And now Voxic goes down. It's down to just Oldless. J-Sank keeping the hard shifts hopes alive. Marcelic going to use this opportunity to start making his push. Can he be the third party that influences this at the end? It's a 2v1v1. J-Sank here's Marcelic. He sees the shots. He gets knocked to about half HP. He's going to be holding back, holding the line right now. No reses coming out for either team right now. Gas Cans, Oldless going to try to go for it, but no, he's not going to be able to. J-Sank is pushing. Oldless will get the down, but he gets traded out. Gas Cans is out. Marcelic has the high ground. It's a 1v1 or 2v1 rather. Maluk versus actually Maluk and Lobes versus Marcelic. We'll see, can Marcelic make something happen? He's got the 2x barrel. He's got a couple of throwables. He picked a perfect time to engage on this fight, Hypoc.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant timing for Marcelic. Now, though, it doesn't look like he's got a good read on where the last two members of hard shifts are. They're stacked up. They're going to try and take back the high ground here and actually sweep back round to the east side. And actually, Marcelic going to get an open angle. He lands a lot of damage onto Maluk. Actually gets a knock on the first. He goes for the second as well. Is he going to clutch out? Lobes down to 1 HP now. Pulls out the SLR. Can he get an angle onto that? Lobes is going to stand back up. There you go. The blue forcing Lobes to get back up. ATC, or rather Marcelic himself, will clutch this one out. 6 kills and the chicken dinner. Wow. What an ending.
What an incredible finish right there. Marcelic just holding on to the bitter end, coming up at the perfect time and getting some damage done, but also not revealing too much. I mean, I don't think Marcelic took a single shot that whole time. I don't think anybody hit him. But great performance there from Gas Cans. Amazing hold from hard shifts. Amazing hold from J-Sank in particular.
Yeah,
he was just popping off there at the end.
Yeah, it was. And I mean, I hate to say it, but, you know, the way Gas Cans pulled up, it looked like they were going to take full control of that side of the hill. And Hard's just able to just spin that one. And that all comes from Lobes off angle, really. Maluk takes first contact. He takes a couple of shots. The important thing is there, he doesn't hit the first aid. As soon as Lobes counter peeks off that, Maluk is ready to capitalize on that damage. Really, really good recovery from Hard Shifts.
I mean, Gas Cans pulled up on that like they were a team that was holding on to like 18 grenades in hand.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they had a single throwable at all. I don't think I remember seeing anything coming out, not flashbangs, not smokes, not anything when they did that pull up. So you wonder if that might have had something to do with it. I don't know. But guys, we're going to throw it to your analyst desk to get.
I will say, though, I don't know what it is. Apparently, we can't get a normal circle on Erangel anymore.
That is
because we had, 2 military circles in a row. One of them was even a split phase 1 the last Friday.
Yeah.
Now today, we're opening it up onto Primors. This is, like, can we get something standard? Something, I'm now that I asked that, we're just going to get a boring Pachinki field circle going to the next game. So maybe I shouldn't push too hard on it. But ultimately, my point, though, is that this was a very, very wild game. Rotations were already into an interesting place to begin with. So the fact that Marcelic was able to come out and get a clutch win, only 6 kills, but a win nonetheless as a solo, is sort of just par for the course at this point.
Nice plays by him. Do you remember if that 50-50 split was the last game last week or was the second to last game?
The second one.
Second? Okay. That's just for my own entertainment. Let's take a look back at the games from this round and just remember exactly how it went. It's highlight time. Clover, why don't you kick us off?
Yeah, kick us off. You know what? One Eye Open started off really strong in this match, and then quickly thereafter fell apart just a little bit. But the thing, especially with these circles, as Cameron's saying about being so crazy, is the rotations that have to come through. A lot of teams trying to vie for these high ground positions out in the forest near the coast, and a couple of teams really reign supreme in this position. Zenith, one of the first to hold that, but as you can see on the minimap, challenged very quickly by Shoot to Kill, who moved in this position and used that as an ability to put down double-digit points this game. In fact, we had a lot of teams that were really able to rack up quite a bit of kills. Now, in this, we had a split. We had 3 full squads to the north, and we had a whole bunch of fragments of teams into town, but ultimately, Hardships won out on top for this position.
It was hard fought by them, though, but coming out with a huge number of kills, you have to wonder where the Hardships have been really this entire time. I don't want to get too deep into this rabbit hole because I feel like we go down this track when we talk about the Hardships already, but they have such a good fragging ability, especially when you look at J-Sync and Lobes, that they honestly should be higher, and I'm surprised that we haven't seen more games like this come out of them. Yes, they did lose the very end of Marcelic, but he was able to pounce at such an opportune moment at the very, very end, after the gas cans had put Hardships into a really tricky situation, trying to hold down onto that slope of how open that area was, sort of forced them to go into that corner, allowed Marcelic to continue to sneak up and push aggressively.
Let's take a look at the leaderboard for that match. We can just how many points ATC and the rest of the teams were able to put up on the board. Take a quick look at this. You can see Hardships end up in first place because of a 12 kill count, which is very impressive. Gas Cans get 10, and Shoot to Kill, who we'll take a second to talk about in just a minute, gets themselves 10 kills on the board. Not too shabby. That said, and we'll touch this very briefly, Cameron, Sonics, you said, usually are one outside the top 3. This one's 10. The first one was just barely in the top 3, and the last one, I only got 5 kills in. So, what Sonic seems to be letting off the gas?
Yeah. Gaskins haven't had the best of days themselves either when you look at them trying to overcome the Sonics and take that first position. But I will say, just on my point of the Sonics being the top 3, I meant specifically placements. And if you look, we'll go to the total leaderboard eventually, so I'm going to be on this point very, very brief. But their placement points are so much higher than anyone else's. And so this is actually a day that they have not been in the top 3 placement point collection-wise any game at all today, which is... I think is really big.
All right, let's take a look at the kill and damage leaders. And I'm going to send it to you, Clover, because you said you wanted to talk a little bit about STK and sort of the teamwork and their positioning in this game. And I think this will be a good time to do it because I think they'll show up on both of these boards.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we're seeing Luke 12 here in 4th with 4, and it's not to overshadow, again, all of the work that Harch has put, as Cameron said it best. We could really go at length about each and every one of these players and the work they've done through, especially Oldis and Marcelic, who really shined this match. But Shoot to Kill looked great through that match. They looked healthy. They looked in a great position. I mean, we saw headshots from all the players, from Civ, from Alo, from Luke and Kurt were constantly on the kill feed. And so while you only see 4 here for Luke, the rest of those players are just off to the edge out of this top 5. And, additionally through damage, we're going to see, I think, a lot of the same, not only from the rest of these players on the board, but from this, because Shoot to Kill, I think we've talked about, they go out early. They die early. They sometimes fall down to just one player. This time, I mean, they looked healthy. They looked on point. They looked comfortable in that position. Ultimately, it did suck to see them go out in 6th place that match, but they went out in 6th with 10 kills.
Let's take a look at the damage list, Cameron, as we go to that one. STK did have a great game. As you can see, Luke 12 gets the top point off of damage dealers.
Yeah, it's good to see him back at the top again, but unfortunately too little too late as far as STK trying to establish their position and take that crown back from the Sonics as being the best team in North America. But it's still good to see that they got it. It's more, I'm looking more at Lobes and J-Sync, even though we did also see Baluk in the kills top 5. It's going to be those 3 players of the Hardships that have really been statistically putting in the best work, and it's good to see it come out as much as it has this game, because I don't think this was it wasn't an easy game for anyone, but even with that in mind, I don't think it was a particularly easy game for the Hardships. They had to make a couple of key pushes in order to establish control. They didn't just have to wait for the circle to come to them shift after shift after shift, and so I hope to see more of this, at least for the rest of the weekend.
Let's take a look at the overall leaderboard, because that's what we're tracking. That's what matters the most. And Sonics breaks the 200. I said it was kind of a guaranteed thing this time, Clover, but they really Challenge
Made it
me on
close.
that one. Yeah.
I think when we were watching game number 1, I said to you, what do you think the over-under is that they'll break 200 this match? And it seems like today they've struggled just a little bit. I mean, at the start, we kind of said if Gas Cans has a chance to catch up, Sonics has to have a pretty rough day. I think the problem with the Gas Cans is they've had just as equally a rough one. And so that's given Oath a chance to start to play catch-up. But at the same time, look at what Zenith is doing right now, sitting in 4th place with 130 points.
Absolutely. I mean, the reality is, Cameron, Gas Cans are only down by 20, right? 20. Thank you. They're only down by 20. If Sonics has another game where they get 2 and Gas Can pulls in 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, I mean, like they did on the last one, they're in striking distance off one more game of a Sonics failure.
Yeah, it's just really hard to say how comfortable I would be with that aspect, because if you look at the Miramar matches, it was sort of as not great for both Gas Cans and Sonics. And so, sure, they were able to finally shrink that gap from 25 to 20, especially off of this previous game. I do want to look at this last Erangel game, and as I mentioned before, the statistics of Sonics getting the majority of their points on Miramar do, I think, give the Gas Cans a lot of hope to sort of make up even more of those points today, before, like, on the last match of the day. But this was not the way that I think either of these teams were expecting, in terms of the possibility of the Gas Cans either overcoming the Sonics in a really big way, or the Sonics completely taking off with the lead continuously once again.
I hate to cut you off, Steve, but I just have a slight problem with, I think that we don't give Sonics enough credit for what they do on Miramar. Their very best match at all was a Miramar game. In fact, last weekend, all of their best games kind of came from those Miramar matches, one with 23 and one with 18 points respectively. But I think the big issue for Sonics right now is that a lot of people, I think, have their target on them, and that's making them struggle just a little bit in the mid game, not only with maybe maneuverability, but to stay up beyond 2. This is yet again another prime example where we've seen 2 of their members fall early on and then the mid game lose the rest.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, Cameron made that point that they are better on Miramar. That's where the Sonics tend to shine, and then they fall off when they get to Erangel. I believe that's what you said earlier, right, Cameron, is your perspective.
They get after the first 2 weeks, they got 2/3, almost exactly 2/3 of their points on Miramar and 1/3 of their points on Erangel.
That said, though, at this stage,
they're not the only team to make that observation on. I just want to be clear on that. But it does compare to the Gas Cans, who are significantly closer to a 50-50 split on maps.
Right. I mean, well, let's step away from that and speak clearly for a second, okay? PCS is wrapping up. We don't know what's next. I'm going to guess there's an international or something around the corner. We've had one every single year, and these teams are going to have to play against the best. We're talking about Korea. We're talking about Europe. We're talking about Korea. We're talking about Korean teams. Like, these guys need to bring their A game, and it's not going to cut it for me if they're good on one map but are struggling, during the transition we tend to lose points. Like, what's the reality, Clover? Let's be honest. Let's call a spade a spade. Let's say we've got our top 3 or 4 teams in North America. Can these guys cut it if we throw them into a shark tank with the rest of the world?
Is Sonics? Absolutely. I think that when you look at the strength where they've got right now, I think they've got a really huge chance to not only compete, but come out on top through some of these teams. We're starting to see more and more of the North American teams as well spend time and effort playing in Europe, playing in Asia. And I think that that's really done a lot for a multitude of these teams. You asked me earlier, what makes Honey Badger so special, and that's one of the things that we look at from him as a player. But there's so many teams and players right now that are putting that amount of work and effort in, and I think the growth that we've seen out of NA this year is huge. But now, that said, I mean, getting on that world stage, things might change a little bit. We look at the strength that Oath has, and you have to wonder, will some of the tactics and the way that these teams play here benefit them on the global stage against teams who have a different etiquette of play?
I think that's the reality, and we'll probably keep talking about that as the weekend goes on, because it's about making a statement for your future in PUBG as we come to the final weekend of PCS3. Now we're rolling forward to the final game of day 1 of the final weekend, and the 2 gentlemen who will be telling you what's going on and giving you the call are Hypoc and Porosaurus.
Hello, everybody. We are back once again for our final game of the day. I am Porosaurus. Joining me once again is Hypoc. And Hypoc, we have had just a bevy of interesting games here today. So far, Zenith and Oath really the winners of the lobby. But when Sonics only gets 16 points through 3 games, isn't everybody winning?
Yeah, you could say there was the scenario discussed earlier on that if Sonics had their worst day, some of these other teams could make moves. And I mean, this is what I love to see. I don't want to see somebody run away with it. I mean, I was talking about top 8 having the potential for a lot of movement, but the way the first 3 games have played out today, Poro, it's not locked in just yet.
Everything seems like it's still on the table. It really does.
Games is a lot of games. It might not seem like much, but
it really, you think about it, and you're right. I mean, it's really not that much. Now, that being said, Gas Cans holding down that second place spot, still 20 points behind Sonic. So Sonic so far, despite having, a quote unquote bad day for Sonics, is this bend and not break?
I mean, the thing is, you got to take into account that there's a lot of pressure right now. We could say there is some element of the circle maybe throwing these games off kilter a little bit. I mean, we talked about Sonics being the team that is able to equip themselves best to counteract that RNG, but I mean, that shift coming back down to Quarry in Circle 2 in the previous game, like no matter what you're splitting in Circle 1, if you're looking for Prio Circle 1, you're not in that Circle 2, like in any scenario. So we could say that Gas Cans are maybe capitalizing off that embracing chaos play style that we know they've been able to really put to work, and maybe that equips them better to deal with this scenario than a team like Sonics.
Well, and you look back to what the Gas Cans have been able to accomplish so far in this Grand Finals. So much of their success has been done with 2 or 3 players up. They're very accustomed to getting it. I mean, just as a byproduct of being one of these teams that fights so early and often, they're very accustomed to kind of losing one and just kind of resetting and still keeping as close to that same play style as they want to play when they only have 3.
Yeah, but Circle this time around, I mean, if this ends anywhere near Circle 1 center, I would say it's a good opportunity for Sonics to bounce back from, I guess, a rough start. But you're right, Oath are pretty far north, and whether that's a byproduct of the plane or not, struggling to get. I can see Reload stretching across Lumber right now. He's just landed in Lumber, so got to be careful not to lose anyone early on here, because they've able to close the gap between 3rd and 2nd, and it would be horrible to see some early game mishaps kind of ruin that opportunity for them.
Well, I mean, that's pretty much what happened to Sonics last game, right? First rotation they make, and they lose H-Win right off the bat. So that you got to imagine that impacted them at least somewhat, right? Yeah, I mean, they had that south side of Quarry position with great sight lines on all that stuff, and you got to imagine having 4 there would probably be better than 3.
I think they lost the second player as they pulled up to that wizard tower just on the edge of Quarry. So again, if they could have kept 3 at that point, maybe we would have seen things play out a little differently for them. Again, I stand by what I said earlier. Sonics is one of those teams that you see them lose a player and they're still able to kind of maintain, and that's a huge attribute for any team to have. But again, you got to argue when you're down to 2, it becomes more and more difficult to maintain that level of mid-game pressure in terms of forcing teams into different spots, forcing teams away from certain spots. I mean, as I just said, if this one finishes anywhere near where the center of Circle 1 is, expect Sonics to capitalize on that. You can see they've already come up to Potato. They're already looking to take control of some ground here in the center of the circle, and some high ground as well. We've seen them fighting up here time and time again.
One of the good things that Sonics has become known for over time is, I mean, they were already 3 in vehicles and out of Pachinki at 2 minutes and 50 seconds.
Yeah,
That is just insane.
Which is
now
early. That's even earlier than the early Sonics that we see anyway.
Now, of course, the plane did fly directly over Pachinki, so
you
know that adds a little bit to it, sure. But still, just the fact that they are able to get up to Potato, they do their scouting. They're already sending their two back down to ground, like the little compound on the very far eastern side of the Pachinki fields. This is kind of their normal 2-2 split, right, where they have 2 up top and 2 down low, and they're set for all the way through mid game here at 4 minutes and 30 seconds in. Yeah, so not too shabby. One Eye, meanwhile, still finishing up their looting all around shelter. Looks like Veritas has already finished their looting and left School Apps, and they've set up an air 2-2 just off to the east of Sonics. Meanwhile, ATC also sending, they were in kind of a weird 2-2 split because of that plane path. They sent 2 to North George, and they had 2 loot up in Watertown. So we'll see if they can get back together. STK already doing a little bit of camping over there at Cube. This is something that they've known to do in the past, to see if they can snake a few kills off of ATC in rotation. We'll see if that plays out. Gas Cans, meanwhile, finishing up around military base there in no real hurry to get inside circle. No real concerns about any bridge camps coming through, so they take their time.
Once they get into the circle, they're going to pull up on somebody anyway, so they're not necessarily in any rush to get in and try and rotate. Fully expecting them to find themselves a couple of players or a team somewhere and opt for the pull up.
The full send is definitely strong with those ones. So
I'm just noticing, we just quickly, we've got Masterlek on screen right now. Sharpshot's actually got himself into dangerous territory. We'll say that much. Alo's actually spotted him out. He's actually opening up now and getting some damage onto him. So, as you said, Poro, STK looking for this trap once again.
It's paid off in a big way so many times in the past, and it'll pay off once again as STK will snab one off of ATC right off the bat. Sharp shot, not flushed out just yet, but he gets taken pretty low. And that is going to be, well, it looks like Nork is just going to go ahead and leave.
Yeah, absolutely snabbed.
Snabbed. Yeah, that's a word. I'm not sure what I was trying to say there. It definitely wasn't snabbed. I think I was trying to say nabbed or
snatched.
Snatched. No. I don't know. It was a combination of like 5 different words. So snabbed.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay.
Easy done. Done and done.
I'll add that one into the vocabulary.
I was wondering if you were going to let me get away with that, but I should have known. I mean,
so I haven't roasted you yet. We're in game 4 and I haven't roasted you yet. So
no, we've made it. I mean, we've had so much action in the early games. It's been hard to really get in there and let me know what you really think as we check in on hard shifts setting up. They do have T8 just to the south there, making some moves, but it looks like they're more interested in spotting out Shrimsy.
Yeah, maybe trying to snab a kill over at Barnes there. I'll snap some information.
You're about to snap these hands. Watch it. Okay, J-Sync looking over towards T8. Looks like they have left 2 inside the warehouses, sent 2 down to the cliff sides. Just to do a little scouting down the coast, see what happens. Gas Cans, meanwhile, has made it safely across the bridge on the east. You see Nikos doing a little scouting, make sure that Duel is left the premises. It looks like they have, for the time being, all up at farm. And once again, we're going to see a little bit of a, well, friendly. I don't want to say slow, but a little bit of a friendlier early game here. Only 1 lost in the process.
Yeah, but and again, just a weird scenario as well, to be honest. STK haven't sprung that trap in a while. We know towards the end of group stage, obviously when ATC were a little more concerned leaderboard-wise, they opted to avoid altogether. But it's just interesting to know the thought process behind when STK, decide to spring that trap, whether or not it's based on bad playing, bad circle, or knowing that ATC got into a particular position late on. It's still good. It's still good to see them kind of coming back there again, remaining the same in terms of strategy.
Well, unfortunately, they might be remaining the same as they have throughout the early game here, as they have come across the bridge and they are going to find themselves right in the midst of Illusion, but it looks like Illusion actually going to pull off and head it back to the
my.
compound. And look at this circle. Oath fans are smiling.
Yeah, and I talk about this every time we see a Milta Power hard shift. The migration here is so important because obviously there's going to be teams that try and center up on this, and we're looking at One Eye Open, Zenith, Oath, obviously Gas Cans, Duel, all have really good opportunity to do so. Everybody else, it's slim pickings. It's really slim pickings, especially when you think about just how many problems are caused by that lumber hill, because it sweeps in all three directions over to the west, south, and to the east. It makes so much of it unplayable in terms of getting a 4-man 2 there. You haven't got a building to hold it down. So this is always really interesting to see. And I mean, actually, initially, everybody opting to just go direct route as the crow flies into this next circle, other than SDK, fully expecting them to wrap round towards prison and make that play that we've seen them do so often on just standard Milta Power circles.
Looks like that's just what they're going to do, and they may run into Illusion once again if they're not capable here. Oath, meanwhile, have spotted out Zenith across the logging camp. Gonna take a few shots, not going to find anything yet, but Jazza and D-Treats are going to find Manhardy in rotation, so that's one down for One Eye as they summarily dismiss him from the lobby with vehicle, and Patron now going to go down to D-Treats as One Eye getting themselves a little bit too close here to Veritas over at the shelter. Down to just 2 here. Delta and Winlow. Looks like Winlow going to hop in the vehicle, try to reposition, but look at that. Fabled coming from the north as well. So One Eye putting themselves right in the middle of a Fabled Veritas sandwich. We'll see if they try to get out there with vehicle, or do you just send it down into the shelter and hope for the best at this point? They're not even going to get the chance. Delta goes down to Rip, or to Gregshot and Rip, and now, yep, Winlow just Tunnel Rats rule. We're the Tunnel Rats. We rule.
Yeah.
Damn it. God, that would have been so
great form for game 4.
Chat knows where I was going with that one. That's fine.
As long as they know.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Sonic's going to find one from ATC over on Death Road. Looks like Norcus maybe stuck out a little bit too far from the ATC scouting. He's going to run right into Tiggleton. Looks like ATC will go ahead and reposition a little bit further down the road. Sonics, meanwhile, will hold their spot for the time being as we see where everybody is kind of ending up. We still have one team way down on Military Island, hard shifts.
It's hard shifts, right? Yeah.
Yeah, doing the long rotation through Millie. They should be able to get up to mainland pretty easily. I think T8 about the only thing they really need to worry about. Gascan's doing a wide split, a little 2-1-1 all across the western edge of Milta here. Meanwhile, Veritas going to trade a few back and forth with Fabled, but other than that, nothing, no overcommitting just yet.
Now, again, there is an element with shifts like this. Teams do tend to be a bit more cautious, I guess, after that initial mad dash in terms of rotations died down. Let's see where Circle 3 is going to pull towards. Well, it wouldn't be a game 4 without an absolute fiesta, right?
It would not, and wouldn't you know?
The scary thing here, though, Poro, is that gas cans are gonna pretty much be able to center up on this.
And they can do whatever they want. They have with that 2-1-1 that they were holding, they had so much control over this western side of Milta.
So many options.
They immediately have whatever option they want. They're already in vehicles, already taking it. Now they got to get there quickly because you can see Oath, Rumblers, Sonics, Veritas, everybody starting to make their way down there. And you can see the shots already coming out here as Veritas is going to crash down onto Farm. They're going to find Dodge already in there. Sonics is going to send it right down the middle of the damn road into Milta. And somehow they're getting away with this right now. Nope. Oldless will find one. But H1 will find Oldless as we have just madness going on right now as the western Milta transitions play out.
Yeah, that's see H1 and Mine both fall in there. So the back and forth does continue. Elsewhere, as we see STK now on top of Illusion. Halo, is he going to be able to find this kill on the Top Dog here through the UAZ? Does actually get the tag through there. Halo down to 4 HP though. Top Dog definitely made him work for it.
Fable here, the big problem though, they got a full wrap on all of this right now. You see Light Show is uphill, but he's getting chased away by Greg Shot and Hella. And now Luke 12 actually going to take a few shots over in that direction here as well. Alo will flush out Woe here shortly. That'll be a couple more points in the bag for SDK, but again, down to 2 players off of some crazy shifts, but at least this time they're picking up kills, they're picking up points where they can, and it looks like they should survive for the time being because Fable is going to leave off of this.
Yeah, they should indeed. The situation in Milta becoming a little more tense. A couple of teams sharing the north side of Milta there, not expecting too many crazy pushes out at this point. Show actually going to show his hand. He's going to find Greg Shot, but no awareness of Hella coming around the backside, and I mean, he traded out before the flush could even come in.
That's a good effort by Show. Nice try, but will go down, and that will do it for Illusion. Meanwhile, our other teams with a solo player, One Eye, Winlow is going to sneak his way into the farm area in the northwest, so he'll stay alive for a little bit longer. SDK, meanwhile, Luke 12 has managed to find a spot. Looks like Alo should be coming to join him soon. Meanwhile, Nikos and the gas cans posted up by that gate over there, just to the north of Milta. You can see finding downs. Didn't find the flush, though. New circle will pop, and it is going to go right on top of all of this. We see Rumblers pretty much dead center.
Yep. And again, guys, fully expecting that one off based on the phase 4 shift with the water, but again, there was a little bit of variance allowed, I guess.
Yeah, a little bit.
But lots of teams already anticipating this, so not expecting too much madness in the center, but obviously those teams out to the west side have got to make moves to get in here.
Looks like Honey Badger doing a little bit of repositioning here, while ATC is just off to the north. You can see them trying to make a mad dash in, and it looks like they will find a spot, at least for the time being. Actually, Cherry going to get the down on a Marcelic, so we'll see if they can maybe get that res off while they're just getting shot from the backside here. But nope, Cherry going to find a Gila too, and that's going to do it for Duel. Or for ATC, rather, as Duel picks up a couple of points now. Comet's also making a long rotation on the south side. Winlow, the last solo player remaining, will try to make it through. Lampalot going to land some sick, nasty AK shots from range.
Was that Lamb's AK tag?
I think that was. I'm pretty sure that was the only person I saw shooting at him. But Cherry, once again, going to find a meal just delivered to him. DoorDash and Winlow right to his face. As Comet's still trying to make their way in. And Yaxley's going to go down to Steezy. The flush will come through as well. But Steezy will go down to Hardships. Maluk. Monty now trying to find a place anywhere, somewhere to set up this stupid car so he can live just a little bit longer. Looks like he will manage to break line of sight here and join the rest of the boys coming into Milta from the south side, from the beach side. As we take a look, everybody just trying to find somewhere to play inside of this. T8 still needs to make their way in. Dodge still needs to make their way in as well.
They do indeed. A lot of team really, I guess, stuck outside Milta, and that's the problem in a circle like this. Is, I mean, where do you go? It's really left too late for anybody now to send it into Milta. You got to assume it's going to be congested and teams kind of forced into the edge. But Dodge and Veritas still over, are happy to kind of coexist on farm for the time being.
Ooh, Zealot actually getting it down on Michael from a long way away might relieve a little bit of the pressure for Dodge right now, at least for the time being. Let's see, I mean, the position Dodge is in, not fantastic, but they're able to make it work for right now. Well, look at Lush with the SLR going to find D-Treats, as D-Treats and Michael are slowly bleeding out. Looks like Michael should get rezzed here. The smoke cloud's going to stay alive for right now, but Veritas under a whole mess of pressure as we wait and see where this circle collapses, where the next one's going to take us. There are 45 people alive in this thing, and it is just, oh my god, I don't even know what to say. Hypog, this is going to be wild next circle.
Yeah, and I mean, the problem comes from now if this circle cuts out Milta, because we know how often that is the case. especially when me and you are casting Poro. But how often it becomes the case where, you know, you've got to this point now, you've sent it in with a vehicle, you lose those ties, you then can't get out of Milta, and well, it cuts a lot of it out. There's not an awful lot of space for Comets and Hardships to just kind of slip in on the north side of the road there, because you got Zenith, Oath, and the remaining Sonics players.
Rough sledding here through Milta, but when you crash Milta, you kind of expect this, right? J-Sank on fire right now. Gonna find T8 Zealot and get the flush, as well as now Weem and Lush are the only two left remaining. Looks like they're hanging out on this hillside, just waiting for Veritas to show their faces so they can try to get some kind of points off of this, because I got to tell you, for Dodge, Veritas, T8, it's not looking great for them to get into this next circle. And for Lush and Weem especially, I don't think they have a vehicle over there or anything, so they're just trying to get whatever points they can.
No, one thing I'm going to keep my eye on for the time being is whether or not Oath opt to try and regroup from this 2-2 split that they're still holding on to into Circle 5. I mean, Pat Caps and Bale obviously dead center uphill. The two members of Oath still on the north side of Milta, as I said previously. Whether or not they've got the opportunity to even try and regroup here. But you can see actually Veritas taking a lot of damage. T8 still looking to pressure them here. Lush actually going to get picked out. Jazza landing the shots with the SKS stat. But Weemu actually going to trade that back with a headshot. Jazza will fall 2 down from Veritas right now. And Tactical 8 will actually end up going out to the blue, with 1 credit going over to Jazza. But these reses aren't possible, and Dodge going to be aware of where this has gone down, so expect them to try and clean up.
And here they come. The throwables are coming out from Veritas. Already 2 will bleed out to the blue. Michael going to go down now to Adam. It's all down to D-Treats. We'll see if he can do any damage here on the Dodge before they eventually take him out. And no, he cannot. Dodge cleaning that up with efficiency, although they now still have to find their way inside circle here. Gas Cans doing a little bit of sniffing over here on the edge. Honey Badger, you can see on that ridgeline, would love to try to come up over the top in here and see if he can find something.
I mean, they should be able to.
Yeah, there he is. He's going to open up. He's going to find one. He gets Danny G, gets the knock, and he's not even going to bother to flush it. He knows
goes
he's
out for
dead.
the blue. Yeah,
he's done. The rest of Dodge, looks like Finn is going to stay around there for a little bit of moral support, but he's going to go down to Cherry. The rest of the boys have hopped in a vehicle and made their way inside circle. Adam and Lampalot will try to make do from this point forward.
The problem being where they've pulled up, I think once Gas Cans get a beat on where they've repositioned to, they're going to be able to pressure that spot very well from these 2 houses at the roadside, just next to Milta checkpoint. And again, Gas Cans got a good opportunity to cross the road as well. This is usually one of the easier spots to fend away from once the circle pulls away from Milta, but maybe not when it's that far northwest.
Yeah, that's rough. Rumblers have a beat on him. Duel have a beat on him. Dodge has a beat on him. His Honey Badger will go down to Adam from range. And now look at the hard shifts are now making their way along the roadside as well. So this could be bad news for Gas Cans here, as everybody just kind of collapsing onto them, onto the position that they're in. They do get the res on a Honey Badger. We'll see if Voxa can maybe do something. Maluk's already got the grenade primed and ready to go, though. It's going to land right on top of him. Doesn't get the down, though, as Voxic goes prone. Takes that reduced amount of damage. Chubba is over here, but has not opened up just yet. And now Gas Cans managed to get all 3 up on the wall, and none of the throwables for hard shifts are finding their home right now.
No, it's not. I'm not sure how they've managed to keep 3 after the initial knock coming out from Dodge, but well, no, we're going to see. Actually, Nico's going to open up onto Chubba here. We'll get the flush as well. So upper hand initially does go to the Gas Cans and reduces the number to a 3v3. Honey Badger's going to try and put a flash through, but it just catches on the window ledge. Sonics elsewhere will fall in 11th place. Now, anything the Gas Cans can put on the board is a bonus. Keep talking about that gap between 2nd and 1st. Here's where you want to see Gas Cans try and capitalize.
They're in a rough spot right now, but they are landing the shots on the hard shifts. They got to be careful not to shoot their own teammates here, as they keep peeking the same exact angles.
Maluk's going to pounce.
Maluk's right on top of him. The grenade will come from J-Sank, and that's going to find one. It's going to knock Badger down to no health. Maluk will come around at the perfect time. He will get the down and the flush. Voxic's still alive, though. He's going to try to find something. He's going to find Maluk. He'll get the flush as well. That's another point in the bag. But now Voxic has to do something with the blue right on his back. Can he stay alive a little bit longer? Hard shifts repositioning. They're just waiting for Voxic to show his head. J-Sank will do the honors. Actually, no, it's going to be Penta from Duel from way downtown. We'll finish him off, and that does it for Gas Cans, going out in 8th place with about 4 or 5 kills, I believe, at the end there.
Yep, so now again leaves an opportunity now with Gas Cans falling. Oath to try and close that gap a little bit. They've still got 2 up. They still have control of that compound. Luke 12 sends some shots towards later. Again, just a matter of time here, expecting Luke 12 to wait this one out. Make sure he puts this kill on the board before moving off elsewhere. Whether or not Oath are going to get it, actually, I can see on the minimap a lot of pressure coming down from there. It's actually Bale going to pick up later, so another kill point over to Oath. J-Sank taking a headshot there down to 2 HP. That vehicle not good for another rotation. Again, it's Penta from distance. Going to find that one. Hardshifts will go out in 6th place. So down to Oath, Jewel, SDK, Rumblers, and Fabled here. Fabled kept quiet up on the north side, but they're still 4 strong. 4 kills on the board as well. Let's see what they can do here in the late game.
Fabled looking good. Duel, 6 kills, looking good. And despite the fact that Oath is down to just 2 players after they had that 2-2 split for a long time, they have 5 kills on the board as well. So if they can manage to pick a few more off of this, maybe play this compound, maybe find themselves in a top 2 or 3 position here, they could actually do a little bit more climbing, get themselves right back into the mix here as we check in with Duel. A lot of room for them to work with, and I think they've got a pretty good idea about where Fabled is coming from. So Fabled is going to have to figure out how they want to get into this next circle. The only one without a compound.
Yeah, they
what
are.
They're going to do?
Gonna send it straight down towards Cherry and Wooly in the Wizard Tower. They're going to get up. The pre-nades come out. No damage on it, though, but all 3 going down. Very low HP. Rip, Haxetti, and Greg all fall in quick succession. Lost HD finding it in, and actually the last nade comes out from Wooly, and Fabled fall in 5th place down to the top 4 now. 2 teams still 4 strong. Oath has a duo. SDK, just Luke 12 standing now. So lots on the board here, some points to pick up in the end game here, and some teams that need them really if they want to make a final push.
Absolutely. Worth noting that during that crash, Oath was able to snab one away, if you were.
Snapped.
From Duel and from Rumblers. So they managed to get themselves up to 6 kills now, but Duel running the board right now. 8 kills in the bag. Rumblers still have 4 up. They've got 5 kills. And Luke 12 always a dangerous threat, even when he's a solo, as he just continues to circle around the outside, the edges of this circle like a shark, waiting for somebody to reveal themselves. So maybe he can collect at least another point here for SDK. They've got 4 already, and they've managed to now make it into the top 4. Everything going to be quiet for now, I imagine, until that next circle pops.
Yeah, again, not really an opportunity for anyone to really make a play until we know where we're ending up. Phase 8 posting, so we know exactly where this game ends. Balefrost still aware of the possibility of somebody being down to the east. Not sure if he's actually caught a sightline or any damage was traded back and forth off screen anywhere, but again, you can see they're kind of waiting out. Pat Cap's looking into the circle. Rumbler's got to make moves here. Obviously, Jewel and Oath still in the circle. So expect Rumblers to make a mad dash for something, but there's not an awful lot of anything to play for, to be honest with you.
It really isn't.
It's going to be a clown car.
Yeah, they're going to pile
An
3
open
in.
top UAZ.
Oh my
no.
goodness. They're going to leave Los on the roof to try to do a little defense here and at least try to keep him honest, keep him from peeking too hard. And it actually is going to pay off as Rumblers managed to get at least to a little bit of a ridge line here on the edge. They put the smokes down. They've got a circle. Cherry, though, will find Waldo before the smokes bloom. And Balefrost will actually find Luke. So that's another kill going into the pocket of Oath. SDK, meanwhile, now out. Looks like McCoy should be able to get the res onto Waldo, and he does. Los, meanwhile, did get picked off.
Yeah, and that's the risk, you know, when you just kind of leave one person to play anchor. You know, you got to assume that they're going to get picked off. Timing not great for him to cross in the open away from the compound as well, but again, it's a necessary casualty in this scenario.
Absolutely. I mean, him being there on the roof allowed them to make it to where they are now. If they would have been able to get him, that would have just been icing on the cake. Meanwhile, looks like we'll see Duel trying to find lines onto this. Rumblers just lying prone for the time being. McCoy going to take a few shots from over in Oath's direction. And we are down to our final circle, and nobody is favored on this one. You got to think, out of everybody, maybe Duel, maybe Oath, if they can work these trees and a couple of tasty rocks in there, could be okay. But you also got to worry about Rumblers. What can they get done? We see Duel already on the move, and Bale going to open it up with a nice shot onto Wooly. And Rumbler's actually going to use this opportunity. Yeah. They're just going to crash hard into Duel. The flashbangs are coming out. Perfect. Good flashbangs. Going to find Pentalol is down. Lynxy is very, very low. The throwable still coming out. Lynxy goes down. The res comes up onto Wooly. He'll stay alive, but that was Penta's grenade. He had it primed and ready to throw, but he got knocked right as it went down. Wooly and Cherry still alive, but they are on the very edge of the circle as Rumblers are just cruising right now, trying to see if they can work the ridge line for at least a little bit. Oath, meanwhile, Pat is going to use this opportunity to get a little bit closer. Now, Rumblers maybe turning their attention over towards Oath. Cherry has gone down. Wooly has gone down. Pat will find McCoy and Oath. This could be huge. This could be a huge win for them as a duo. They managed to get McCoy down. It's a 2v2, Waldo and Gaxi. I don't know how much smoke they have left, if they have any throwables, but right now, Balefrost, Patcap working the edge of the smoke like pros as Gaxi looks like he might be working around McCoy. Looked like he might have been considering a res, but not going to go for it. Balefrost will drop down prone, get the heal off, get back up to where he needs to be. Gaxi needs to watch out for that blue, though. It's slowly pushing him away from that ridgeline that he wants to play. Waldo, meanwhile, is just going to go prone while the smokes bloom around him. Yeah, I mean, time is not in Rumblers' favor right now. They need to be the ones to go for something here. The molly onto the rock is perfect. Patcap's going to take a lot of damage. Waldo going to find Balefrost. Patcap's down to about 30 HP, and there you go. Gaxi going to close that one out. Rumblers, 9 kills and a chicken dinner, but damn, did Oath make him work for it. That was another fantastic endgame here. Wow, wow, wow. These guys are bringing it all here and leaving it all out on the table for this final weekend of the PCS3 North America Grand Finals. Rumblers coming in and clutching out the last victory of the day, stealing it away from Oath, essentially. But Oath, 10 kills and a second place. They have had a phenomenal day today, IPOC. They have indeed, and I mean, there was again a huge opportunity for them to cause even more problems to the top 3, to be honest with you. I'm so glad that today has played out the way it has. We're set up for literally the best final day possible. Oh, it's going to be spicy. It's going to be spicy. Sonic's kind of leaving the door open a little bit here. You know, only 2 points in this final day, or final game rather, and I believe that's going to leave them with 18 for the day. So, you know, worst day that Sonics have ever had, like or that have had in a long time, really. Yeah. And it could not have happened really at a worse time. But that being said, that might be what it needs to light a fire under this team to get them back where they need to be, in that killer mindset of trying to go out and snatch this victory. Yeah, it is indeed. And again, you could argue Sonics are a team that you know, they thrive off that momentum. So I'm hoping this doesn't affect them too much. It'd be fantastic to not, you know, see things fall apart for them in the final 2 days. Well, no matter which way you cut it, it is going to be set up for a fantastic final day here of NAPCS. But guys, that is going to do it for us. I have been Poro. He has been HiPoc. Thanks so much for letting us cast your games for you. And now we're going to tow it to the desk for the final analyst desk of the day. Guys, take it away.
Oath. They have a good game. Rumblers wins. Glad to see him back on form. But for me, the real story here, as we go into this, and we'll get to those leaderboards in a minute, I want to start with you, Clover, because I think I started with Cameron every other time, is this idea that the Sonics go 2 points for the second game in a row, and Gas Cans has an opening, and then they only get 4 points out of it. Like, these two teams, you know, have just left the door wide open. Let's run highlights as we talk about the door that was left open.
I mean, you're right. These teams had so much potential to put down a huge amount of points today. We talk about Sonics having a bad day. I mean, this is worse than a bad day. Prior to this, their worst days were 41 points. They had 2 of them. And this is just a night and day difference. But that said, it's given the potential for some of these teams to really come within striking distance. And Oath has the potential to take second. And potentially, if Sonics play like this again tomorrow, the sky's the limit. It could be a very close game 4 at the end of tomorrow to see who comes out as the winner for PCS3. But, that said, Duel, another team that really had a great game and once again leaped themselves back up the leaderboard, passing Zenith this match.
I'm just trying to reflecting over the day as a whole. This is a great end game, as I was touching on before. Really good to see Rumblers, and actually really good to see Gaxi specifically top frag of this round, because he's really been the player that's sort of been lagging behind a lot of the other Rumblers players. But that aside, the day was set up. I set it up. I'm putting this all on me. This is all my fault, I suppose. Like, I'm the one that has to bear this cross, or whatever you want to call it. Gas Cans versus the Sonics. Sonics coming with an 18-point day, which on paper, if that's where you stop reading, oh great, Gas Cans take over. Nope. They close the gap, but they only close it by 8 points. And when it's a Sonics having an 18-point day, that's only 26 points for them. So really, and I also said Oath was locked into third. This has been me really putting on my clown nose, I feel, for how this final is gonna play out, because everything is different heading into tomorrow than what I expected it was going to be.
Well, it gives us options. Let's take a look at the leaderboard from that match and see exactly how the point breakdown works. So Rumblers get 19, which has been good, Clover, because I feel like they've been quiet lately. Waldini, in particular, hasn't had very much to say over the last couple of weekends, and him and the rest of the team come up big on this one.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost a little bit poetic when you've kind of, earlier we had that really great game with Los getting 7 kills. We've talked a lot about McCoy and the work that he's put in, but this time, all the kills came from Waldo and Gaxi, 2 of the members that I think we talk about the least on Rumblers, and it came in huge for them as they were able to rack up 19 points for this match. But yet again, another double digit for Oath, which was huge in helping them for that push in that top 3 race. The push for 2, if you guys have been paying attention to socials, there's been a lot of questions if you think Oath can overtake Gas Cans, but at the same time, the work that Duel, Shoot to Kill have all been putting in have made it a very close race in the mid-tier for some of these teams that have been, we talked about at the beginning of today, the race for 4th through 8th and the shuffling that we were expecting. It's almost, I think, even gotten closer in that group today than it was before.
Well, let's take a look at kills and damage for that match as we work our way towards the overall leaderboard for the end of the day. Cameron, Balefrost coming out on top. Oath got 2 and Rumblers got 2.
Yeah, actually, shockingly enough, even though Rumblers win, we have 2 players. Cherry's a tie, but still, Balefrost and Rosrilo coming out with a bunch of kills for Oath as well. This was another very complicated circle, maybe not as chaotic as Primorsk, but to answer, I asked, are we going to get a normal Erangel circle? The answer is obviously no, because it started off seemingly normal, but then went straight towards the coast. It looks like someone is ready for summer vacation. It's not even the end of November yet. But either way, still good performances by a bunch of these players to pick up kills while they could, because a lot of the rough transitions trying to make their way into Milta and then back out of Milta. And then Oath had a really solid position earlier on. Rumblers not too far behind, so good for both of those squads to sort of hold that position down and really make work of the shifts that went in their favor.
No circle for you. Let's take a look at the damage. Damage. Clover, walk me through these.
We've got 5 different teams, right? All on damage and showing just the work that these 5 different teams have put in. Once again, seeing Luke 12, J-Sank, Lynxy, Balefrost all on the list. They've been up here a couple times today, but Gaxi, right? Making work for Rumblers. He's going to be 5th in damage, but obviously getting the chicken dinner, it's got to feel great. Additionally, being the kill leader for his squad that match. So it's really exciting to see that performance come out of Rumblers. I know that a big talk about, surprise so far this grand final series has kind of been the underperformance that we've really seen from them given their performance in the group stages. But once again, I mean, it's just some fantastic shots that have been shot by these guys in each and every one of these games. We've seen headshots come out of these players. We've seen some really wild aggressions, and that's what a lot of their teams right now need, because they are chasing.
Give a shout out to Luke 12, who did 700 damage with 0 kills. So very, very impressive. Let's take a look at the overall leaderboard. I mean, it do be like that sometimes. All right, overall leaderboard. Sonics advances by 2 more points to 203. Guadalajara Gas Cans climbed to 186, and Oath is at 180. Now, I think we're going to focus mainly on these top three at the moment because it is still kind of a contest. And we touched on base last time, Cameron. I said, hey, reality checks in. If the Sonics have another 2-point game, that opens the door for the Gas Cans if they put up some big numbers. And we all kind of roll our eyes a little bit because we're like, that means Sonics have to have a crappy day. Well, they did. And not only is it now the Gas Cans who are threatening them, Oath is actually in striking distance, who has had a far more consistent day than the Sonics did.
Yeah, a lot better of a day Oath has had than both of those squads. With, as I said earlier on, Sonics only 18 points. You'd think Gas Cans, based on how they played in week number 2, should have had an even better day. But they sort of went out around the same time that the Sonics did, I feel, game after game, except for that one game where they made it deeper in. But it was really Oath did all the work that they needed to at least begin to catch up. They're still 6 points behind, which that's 23 points. I mean, that's honestly not that much. We only have 4 games left, which is the big concern. If Sonics go back to their older ways that we saw in week 1 and week 2, I don't even know if Oath can overcome that 23-point gap. But if the Sonics are going to continue to be this wounded, not only do the Gas Cans have an opportunity, Oath, especially based on how they played today, could actually steal this away from both of them.
I mean, Oath got 16 on that last game. If they had won it, they would have walked away with something in the ballpark of 18, and Sonics only got 2. Exactly. So that's the reality, is they are just that close, and tomorrow might actually be a race. We came in today, Clover, thinking that it was a 1-horse race, and now it is 3, which is cool. Let's take a look at the overall kills for the tournament so far. We've been going back and forth. Is Tiggleton being usurped by the Honey Badger? Is the future of North American PUBG the Badger Man? Are we finally going to prove that OCE isn't the kings of NA? Is it happening? Is it happening?
I mean, it definitely seems that way. I mean, Tiggleton has put in work, but, you know, as we've talked about, the Sonics, just for whatever reason, we're struggling a little bit. I mean, a lot of the kills that we saw today actually came out of Shrimzy, you know, and H-Win. So, obviously, if your Sonics, shake it off, go back forward. But, you know, the work that the Gas Cans are putting in, not only Honey Badger, but in Old List as well. You see 33. There's so many points from this squad right now. And, you know, you can't help but wonder, this was not their best day. Would have Honey Badger broken 50 or even 60 if they had had a performance like we saw last Friday from them?
I love seeing Shrimzy up there, Cameron. I harken back to, I think it was Hypoc that said, you know, Shrimzy's one of the most consistently stable and overall positive players, that his energy in comms is a huge benefit to teams. And to see him up on the top 5 kills, and damage now. I love seeing that. I love seeing players who I would say are quieter, maybe less flashy traditionally, getting the recognition because of their performance.
I just wish his hat was on straight.
I think it's cool. I feel that it's very country.
If you want to have it at an angle, full commit to an angle, not just a tiny little bump. Okay, all jokes aside, no, I do agree overall. It's great to see the sort of growth of Shrimzy, or rather the come-upness of Shrimzy from back when we originally saw him on the unsigned team. I don't even remember what they were called. In NPL Phase 2, where he then got picked up originally by Ghost based off of that performance alone, and now look where he is now. He might not be at the top of the list, not even just for his team in general, but he is still establishing himself as a consistently great player for North America.
Let's take a look at the overall Nox, Clover, and I'll turn it over to you to get your thoughts on these folks. It's all the same people.
It is. You know, you joked earlier about the damage that Luke 12 was able to do without any kills, and I think some of that might be reflected in the story here. You've got a lot of teams that are going to get Nox, but obviously, you know, the damage to kills is what we really matter. But Nox is great. It shows the effort, the work that they're putting in. And yeah, Honey Badger is leading kills, but this just shows how much Tiggleton and Shrimzy are really actively working towards this points and putting Sonics in that position of lead.
And Old List. I feel like we talk a lot about the badge, but we don't talk enough about Old List. This guy is putting a 34 Nox, Cameron. He's constantly showing up in sort of the end game fights and making some really nice plays. I guess he just lives in that, it's the perpetual shadow, right? Like sometimes you don't get talked about just because one other person on your team casts a little bit of a longer shadow.
I mean, it's hard enough to talk about the players on Sonics who aren't Tiggleton, and their numbers are actually a lot closer towards each other than it is on the Gas Cans. It really is even more so for the Gas Cans, the Honey Badger show. But you make a very fair point, though, is that you really do want to look at the entirety of the squad and look at what they have achieved together, even if it is sort of off the back of Honey Badger's own like front head of the spear, point of the spear, whatever you want to call it, performance in a lot of occasions.
All right, let's look at the last one. It's assist totals. Let's see who's up here. I suspect. Wow. Okay, so Hwin jumps onto the board with 24 of those, and Nikos as well. It does seem like all of these graphics have been very much the Sonics and Gas Cans show, Clover.
Sonics, Gas Cans, and Oath. We've got our top 3 leaderboard teams represented here beautifully, and that comes to teamwork, right? The players that we maybe don't always talk about as much, you know, in forms of Nikos for the Guadalajara Gas Cans, and you know, every player on all these teams are getting kills. They're engaging. They're putting in the pressure on around them, and that's what we're looking for these stats. But it's really exciting to see the work that the Sonics have put in. Tiggleton, Shrimsy, and Hwin all up there respectively, and I don't suspect that will change too much tomorrow. I mean, obviously still a bad day, but you know, if there's anything that we've learned about the Sonics is that they're going to shake that off, and I think they're going to come back stronger.
Well, as we wrap up today, guys, let's take a look at where we're going tomorrow. Let's sort of set the stage for what's coming. The first thing to talk about is maybe the Sonics. I think that Cameron, you coined a fun little term for the fans of the Sonics, the Susquehonnies. If you're a Susquehonny out there and you love these guys, are you stressed out going into tomorrow? Is it all groovy, or is after today an issue?
They still have an all right lead.
Mm-hmm.
But not only is it not nearly as close of a lead that they had towards this time of PCS2, you also cannot feel comfortable coming off an 18-point game with not even a week to reset. There are 4 more games left happening tomorrow, same time, same place. I think it's not dire straits for them. They're still in the lead. They still have a little bit of a point gap. They can't be comfortable though. Fans or players alike.
Now, the people going up against them tomorrow, Clover, they've got to deal with the gas cans breathing down their neck. Today, the gas cans felt a little diluted, more ethanol than gas at this point. Are they able to come back tomorrow and go full octane and make the big win?
I think so. If there's anything we know about Honey Badger and the rest of that squad is that they are going to go back, watch their VODs, be really critical, and come back with a plan. Obviously, whatever they did today did not work out well in their favor, and I really think that they're going to put forth that energy to try and remedy that. I mean, everybody has a bad day. These are just the 2 teams that really did not need to have a bad day. You know, Sonics in terms of keeping that lead, Gas Cans and trying to leap over them, and now both of them have also let Oath get considerably close, and that's from all of the effort that Oath put in today as well.
Well, you talked about Sonics, you talked about Gas Cans. I'm just going to say Oath is probably going to win it all tomorrow, so we'll see how that goes. Final thoughts going in. You know, I got bull at the start of the day. I was a lot less stressed about it then. We're just gonna ride that wave all the way. It's the end of the day, guys. We're wrapping it up for the night. Let's do some final thoughts and then get the heck out of here so we can catch a little bit of sleep. Cameron, final thoughts for the day. Looking forward to tomorrow, or just any philosophy you want to share.
This is not at all how I expected it to play out, which is incredibly exciting, because to think that it not only was not decided today in the Sonics' favor, but the fact that we have an opportunity for either Gas Cans or Oath to overtake them is going to make tomorrow a very, very exciting day.
I couldn't agree more. Clover, final thoughts?
Same for that. I mean, not only between those 3 teams that right now are making that final push for first place, but the rest of the teams throughout the lobby right now who are fighting within their own little clusters. I think that we're going to see a lot of leapfrogging, a lot of heartbreaks, and a lot of exciting plays tomorrow for all of these teams. So can't wait.
All right, guys, thank you so much for your thoughts. I do want to remind all of you that if you are looking to get your last fix of competitive PUBG before 2020, it doesn't end here. To sign up for DreamHack PUBG Showdown and get your chance to compete with the top talent in North America and Latin American regions. To register, check out dreamhack.com/PUBG. Qualifiers start on November 28th, so make sure that you guys register soon. Also, I do want to remind you all that there is a place hidden among the clouds. It's a mysterious and treacherous plateau of Paramo, home to untold secrets and a very active volcano. Far more active than I am in the gym, I'll tell you that right now. This small-scale map will be a true game changer with dynamic lava flows and locations that change every time you drop in. PUBG Season 9 available now. Hashtag Discover Paramo. And I do want to give you guys a reminder that we're not done here. We have one more day of play tomorrow, and it's not just North America that's kicking off. Asia will be starting at 2 a.m. 2 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So if you hate sleep, be there, watch it. It's going to be awesome, and then we'll be back tomorrow at 4 p.m. PST with the final day of PCS3, and I can guarantee you it is going to be an awesome final day of play where the top 3 teams are really going to push each other for perfection. Guys, thank you so much for spending the day with us. We know that you have options and you can be anywhere and do anything you want on this Thursday night. The fact you're here with us means the world. From myself, from Clover, from Cameron, from Hypoc, Porosaurus, Matchroom, and Godspeed, thank you so much for spending your evening with us. And until we see you again, play more PUBG.